Chapter 857. Mu Rong Qianji said, "Being the suzerain, regardless of emotion or reason, I should be in the first tier. I plan to put Mo, Air and Nan Nan in the second and third tier. To the heavenly punishing villa, Yen Beifei is certainly in the first tier. Since Yen Guinan is dead, certainly the sealed beast soul will take the place of the second and third tier. Yes, Suzerain Mu Rong has only entered the Supreme Tao stage for a short time. It will be difficult for you to face that Yen Beifei. If you can win the first 2 rounds, you will win the third round without having to fight. Therefore, I plan to send Bao Bao or Lone to help you fight the second tier. Regardless of Mo, Air or Nan Nan, it will not be a problem to defeat the third tier of the heavenly punishing villa." Murong Su's beautiful eyes instantly lit up. "Brother Wushuang, it would be best if father does not need to fight. We will make the heavenly punishing villa lose without reason. How are Bao Bao and Lone now?" Bao Bao had the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey and possessed extraordinary strength. In these few years, he had also advanced by leaps and bounds. He already possessed the power of the second calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage. Lone and Fire Kylin were at the first calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage. They were slightly inferior. "Wushuang, didn't you say that sealed beast soul has the power of the 4th to 6th calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage? As the second tier, can Bao Bao and Lone win against the sealed beast soul?" Mu Rong Qianji was not without worries. Before his father-in-law, Qin Wushuang did not keep them in suspense as he laughed. The combat power of a sealed beast soul at the 4th calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage is at most equal to the 2nd or 3rd calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage. Bao Bao also has the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey. Certainly his explosive power and combat power are much stronger than ordinary divine beasts at the same level. Plus with the weapons I equipped him with, if he cannot even defeat one sealed beast soul, then my nurturing would have been in vain. Murong Su was rather confident in Bao Bao as she comforted her father. "Father, Bao Bao's combat power is astonishing. With the help of Brother Wushuang, even if a stronger opponent is Bao Bao's Yin-Yang One Rod, he can defeat it." Qin Wushuang laughed. In the beginning, when Bao Bao held the Yin-Yang One Rod, he could unleash less than 20% of its power and beat Xian Tianwu into an embarrassing state. Now, after being in solitary training for a few years, it can unleash at least 50% of the power of the Yin-Yang stretching rod. I am afraid it can defeat Xian Tianwu easily. This was not an exaggeration. At that time, Bao Bao was only at the 8th calamity of the Coagulate Supreme Tao stage, yet he was able to catch Xian Tianwu, an elite warrior at the 5th or 6th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage off guard. Now, his cultivation was already at the 2nd tribulation of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Coupled with his 6th tribulation of the true Supreme Tao stage Heaven and Earth One Rod, he could unleash 50% of his power. It was really not difficult to defeat someone at the 6th tribulation of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. As for Nan Nan and Ai Simo, of course, he would send Ai Simo, the elder sister, to fight. Ai Simo had broken into the divine Tao for many years. The cultivation speed of the dragon race was originally very fast. Ai Simo also had the bloodline of the immemorial Azure Dragon. Her talent was on par with the ancestral dragon race. In fact, her talent was even higher than many totem ancestral dragons. Therefore, Ai Simo was actually close to the Transformation Supreme Tao stage in these 10+ years. In addition to Qin Wushuang's pointers and cheats, no matter what kind of third-tier combination the heavenly punishing villa sent out, winning this round would not be difficult. If Bao Bao could win the second round, they would win 2 out of 3 rounds. Naturally, there would be no need to fight the third round. Naturally, Qin Wushuang arranged it this way to take care of his father-in-law's face. Although Lord Murong was the leader of a sect and it was natural for him to be ranked first, in the end, he had just broken into the Supreme Tao stage. It would be 100% difficult for him to win against Yen Beifei. Unless he was given a divine weapon at the 9th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. However, Qin Wushuang would not be that impulsive. If he were to give Lord Murong a weapon at the 9th calamity genuine Supreme Tao stage, it would be difficult for him to unleash much power in a short time. It would also be easy for people to think about him. Good steel should be used on the blade. Since Lord Murong was not needed to fight, why should he waste the 9th calamity divine weapon here? That was Qin Wushuang's trump card to deal with Xian Tianwen. In such competition, any equipment, weapon, or person could only be used once. Of course, it was an exception if they needed to fight a second time. For the same equipment and weapon, if they needed to fight a second round, the same person could still continue. For example, if Qin Wushuang met Xian Tianwen first, and then head chief Yun Qinghan, the same weapon and equipment would not be counted as a repeat. Naturally, such arrangement was appropriate. It was equivalent to the floating snow house entering the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gate. With Qin Wushuang's care, Murong Su's position and reputation at the floating snow house had increased tremendously. It had reached an exaggerated level. Her act of running away from her marriage, which was regarded as a disgraceful act, had become a legendary act in people's mouths. Think about it, if Su Er and Luo Ting of the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect had gotten married, the floating snow house would suffer together with the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. Yes, initially we did not understand eldest Miss's actions and thought she was crazy. Now it seems we are the crazy ones. Haha, we cannot say we are crazy. Indeed, we outsiders could not imagine such situation. Who knew that eldest Miss would meet such an exceptional person like head chief Wu Shuang? Eldest Miss has a good eye. Yes, I must admire her. This time, it's all thanks to eldest Miss that our floating snow house has the opportunity to make a dash for the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates. Those first-rate powerhouses with more experience than the floating snow house do not have as much support as us. Initially, we were only a second-rate powerhouse. At the Xian Yuan Mound, we were only in the top 20. Now we are marching towards the top 8 with the highest honor. Among the disciples of the floating snow house, such public opinion had been spreading like wildfire. Even those deputy patriarchs of the Mu Rong clan, Mu Rong Qianji's clan brothers, had been strongly against it. Now they had accepted it wholeheartedly. As he walked with Murong Su on the back mountain of the floating snow house, his mood was completely different than last time. Last time, when Qin Wushuang and Murong Su were at the back mountain, their family had opposed it the most severely. When Yan Zhuiyang and the others from the Heavenly Punishing Villa had proposed, they were in a gloomy mood. Now, under the same sky, the same back mountain, and the same scene of snow swirling in the air, these two felt as if the entire world had opened up for them. They were incomparably happy. Brother Wushuang, when do you think we can live peacefully like now? I am looking forward to it. Murong Su's voice sounded somewhat infatuated and her eyes were as tender as water. Suddenly, Qin Wushuang felt a pain in his heart. Since he had met and fallen in love with Murong Su, a dozen years had passed. Yet, these two were still drifting like duckweed and could not settle down. No matter what the reason was, it was unfair to this girl. Upon seeing Qin Wushuang at a loss for words, Murong Su immediately said, "Brother Wushuang, I am not trying to pressure you with my words. You are a man, you have ambitions, and you also have the responsibility that belongs to your destiny. I will wait for you, and I will always wait. Su Er, regardless. After the Heavenly Emperor competition, I will come to the floating snow house to marry you. At that time, the entire Xian Yuan Mound will celebrate together. Su Er, do you still remember that I once promised you that I will marry you grandly and let your clansmen marry you to me happily?" "I remember." Murong Su's entire heart was about to melt as she gave an infatuated sigh. I remember each of your words. In these years, when you were not by my side, I always reminisced about it by myself. I reminisced about each scene from when we first met to when we fell in love, and each of your words. This outwardly strong-willed woman would only open up all her worries when she was by her lover's side, leaning on his chest. She would pour out her yearning as if she was intoxicated, not holding back at all, not being pretentious at all. Even if one was a hero, the whispers of a lover could not help but turn into tenderness. Qin Wushuang was moved as he hugged Murong Su lightly. Su in these years you have suffered. Brother Wushuang, I have not suffered. How could I suffer when I have someone to care about, someone worth loving and yearning for? Su truly bitter days were before she met Brother Wushuang. The entire world seemed to be against me and wanted to force me to marry Luo Ting. Fortunately, Father understood me. When she talked about the past, Murong Su also felt deeply moved. Brother Wushuang, when you and I get married, you must invite your father, Sister Xiu'er, and your colleagues from the Stargaze Palace to come and watch the ceremony. I heard people say that the more blessings a newly married couple receives, the happier they will be. Haha, of course, they are all my close relatives, how could they not come? As the snowflakes continued to fall, the two figures walked up the mountain with their back. Happiness was in front of them. After 500 years of suppression and waiting, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant that everyone had been waiting for had finally arrived. It was still held at the Xian Yuan Mound Holy Place. Due to the hosting of the pageant, this part of the Xian Yuan Holy Place was completely open to the public. As long as one was a second-rate powerhouse, they were qualified to come and watch. This way, the attractiveness of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant had increased greatly. Across the entire Xian Yuan Mound, there were not many second-rate powerhouses. Certainly, there would be dozens or hundreds of them. With the opportunity to witness it with their own eyes, of course, not one or two would come. Certainly, they would turn out in full force, hundreds or thousands of people. 4 freelance martial artists, as long as they had reached the perfect void martial stage, they were also qualified to come and watch. This way, on the day of the pageant, a total of 100,000 people had arrived at the legendary Xian Yuan Holy Place in a grandiose manner. The core location of the martial arts competition would be the Xian Yuan stage of the Xian Yuan Holy Place. That towering Xian Yuan stage symbolized the authority and status of the Xian Yuan clan. It intimidated all sections. For tens and thousands of years, the spots for the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates had been created on that Xian Yuan stage. For tens and thousands of years, the Heavenly Emperor position had also been decided on the Xian Yuan stage. Per the usual practice, of course the Xian Yuan clan would give a speech. Being the totem elite warrior that presided over the secular affairs, it was not the first time Xian Yuan Ba had met with everyone at such an occasion. He had already hosted 4 times. Now, it was his 5th time hosting the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant. Thus, there would not be a situation where he could not control the situation. Between his movements, a domineering aura emerged spontaneously. Perhaps he was not much stronger than elite warriors at Xian Tianwen's level. However, with the identity of a totem elite warrior, each of his movements was destined to intimidate the entire scene. Everyone, I am sure you can't wait for 500 years of reincarnation. At this time, if I speak any more nonsense, it will dampen everyone's mood. I have spoken too many of those heroic and impassioned speeches. This time, I don't want to repeat them. Still those old words, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant is fair, just, and open. Within the permissible rules, any methods are allowed. Outside the rules, any actions that exceed the rules will be disqualified directly. When he said this, Xian Yuan Ba swept across the place with a piercing cold gaze. He swept across each person's face. When he passed by Qin Wushuang's face, Qin Wushuang revealed a light smile and appeared calm and collected. In fact, he was qualified to be calm. Regardless of the rules or the opponents, he had already studied them enough. He was only waiting for Xian Yuanba's order to start the pageant. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 858. With Xian Yuanba's short speech, clearly he did not want to steal the limelight from the participating powerhouses. With a few words, he entered the main topic. Everyone, in the past, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain Pageant has always had two segments. The first segment is the challenge competition for the peripheral powerhouses and the competition for the Heavenly Emperor. This challenge competition for the peripheral powerhouses is unprecedentedly grand. A total of 6 powerhouses are participating and 5 of them are being challenged. In other words, besides the 3 traditional wealthy clans, the other 5 are all on the list of challengers. This was something that had been announced earlier. Clearly, Xian Yuanba did not explain as he continued to speak. The Misty Sword sect and the Flowing Sound Valley will challenge the Sound of Thunder sect at the same time. The competition for these 3 powerhouses will be held in the last round of the challenge competition. The other 4 challenges will be arranged according to the order of the drawing of lots. For the drawing of lots ceremony, please come on stage. The 4 pairs, the 8 forces, all appeared together. At this time, everyone naturally did not hold back. They glared at each other like angry fighting cocks. Their eyes were not eyes, their noses were not noses, and they were just short of rolling up their sleeves and fighting on the spot. In fact, the order did not mean anything. Some people preferred to step onto the stage immediately, and some hoped to go on stage later. However, such drawing of lots was prepared by the Xian Yuan clan and could not be cheated. Indeed, the first match was between the House of Vase Mound and the 100 Lane clan. The supporter of the House of Vase Mound was Xian Tianwen. The supporter of the 100 Lane clan was the Qin clan. Of course, no one could guess the supporter behind the scenes of the 100 Lane clan. Hu Chirue, patriarch of the House of Vase Mound, cupped his hands at Bai Liguang. Patriarch Bai Liguang, excuse me. What offense? Bai Liguang revealed a disdainful smile. Don't think that just because your master gave you some benefits, you can bare your fangs at the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gate. Today, the 100 Lane clan will let you know what it means to be ignorant without fear. Initially, Hu Chirue wanted to play with his temperament to gain some face for the Heavenly Emperor Xian clan. After being looked down upon by Bai Liguang, instantly he could not hold back his anger. He said with a black face, "Bai Liguang, you are sneezing like a toad, such a big tone. I would like to see who is the ignorant without fear." Bai Liguang had borrowed a true supreme Dao weapon from Qin Wushuang. Moreover, Qin Wushuang had also lent Fire Qilin to the Baili clan to fight as an honorary elder. Therefore, he had plenty of trump cards. He sneered, "Hu Chirue, cut the crap. I hope your subordinates are strong enough. It would be a pity if you don't even have a chance to meet me in the 3rd round." Hu Chirue was unforgiving. "I was just about to say the same thing to you." Fortunately, at this time, the drawing of lots over there had also ended. Xian Yuanba said in a clear voice, "The second match is between the Great Celestial Gate and the Mysterious Reform Gate. The 3rd match is between the Floating Snow House and the Heavenly Punishing Villa. The 4th match is between the 100 Swords sect and the 1000 Feather sect." After he finished speaking, Xian Yuanba continued, "Let's invite the representatives of the Misty Sword sect, Flowing Sound Valley, and Sound of Thunder sect to draw lots." Because the Xian Yuan clan had used their registration form to measure their strength, they had sent out experts of about the same level to compete with them, thus forming 2 pairs. Naturally, this drawing of lots was to pick their opponent. The result of the drawing of lots was interesting. The Misty Sword sect had drawn the Sound of Thunder sect directly. The Flowing Sound Valley had drawn the sparring partner of the Xian Yuan clan. It was as if fate wanted the Qin and Xian clan to fight in advance. The Qin clan supported the Misty Sword sect, and the Sound of Thunder sect was the trusted aid of the Xian clan. This absolute situation was simply a rehearsal for the battle between the Qin and Xian clan. It was exactly the same as the battle between the Floating Snow House and the Heavenly Punishing Villa in the third round. If the Misty Sword sect could defeat the Sound of Thunder sect, and the Flowing Sound Valley could not defeat the sparring partner of the Xian Yuan clan, then the Misty Sword sect would get a spot directly. If the Flowing Sound Valley defeated the Xian Yuan clan, then the Misty Sword sect would have to fight another round with the Flowing Sound Valley. That would determine the winner. Regardless, with so many powerhouses participating, more or less they would suffer some losses. Other people would decide the winner in one round, most likely they would have to fight twice. This way, the drawing of lots for the outer challenge had ended completely. Xian Yuanba's imposing voice sounded. Please invite the Vase Mound Mountain and the 100 Lane clan to the Xian Yuan stage. Below is the list of participants for these two powerhouses. There are 3 levels, from low to high they are. For the third level of the Vase Mound Mountain, it was an elite warrior of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. His appearance did not appear too abrupt. It was because everyone knew that almost none of the outer powerhouses had 3 Supreme Dao elite warriors at the same time. For the third level, it was reasonable to send out non-Supreme Dao elite warriors. The key would be their equipment and weapons. Since the Xian clan wanted the Vase Mound Mountain to challenge the 100 Lane clan, it would be impossible for them to not give any trump cards. As for the second and first level of the Vase Mound Mountain, of course it would be the Sealed Beast Soul and Hu Chirue himself. It was not that Xian Tianwen did not want to send more elite warriors to the Vase Mound Mountain. In fact, he had already put in all his wealth and spent all his capital. In terms of wealth, even the Heavenly Emperor Gate was incomparable to Qin Wushuang, who had inherited the 7 Deadly Arrays formation. Most likely even the Xian Yuan clan could not compete with Qin Wushuang in terms of Supreme Dao weapons, not to mention the Xian clan. Xian Tianwen felt that with his wealth, plus the power of the Vase Mound Mountain, it would be enough to deal with the 100 Lane clan. He never expected that the 100 Lane clan would ask for help from the Qin clan. He never expected that the Qin clan would support the 100 Lane clan with all their power. Naturally, it was beyond his imagination for Qin Wushuang to completely control the 100 Lane clan and the 1,000 Feather sect. For the third level of the 100 Lane clan, the Guardian Divine Beast Fire Kylan. For the second level, by Li Tu. For the first level, by Li Guang. Following Xian Yuanba's announcement, the expression of Xian Tianwen changed instantly. The third level was the Divine Beast. This way, it seemed that the plan to use the third level to launch a surprise attack on the 100 Lane clan and win the first round would most likely fail. Divine Beast Fire Kylan? Daoist Tianwen, what's going on? Saber Beard could not refrain himself from asking in a low voice. Xian Tianwen's expression was incredibly unsightly as the corner of his mouth twitched lightly. Impossible! How could this be? What? Saber Beard asked strangely. Divine Beast Fire Kylan is a divine beast that Qin Wushuang subdued at the endless Eastern Sea. How did this 100 Lane clan collude with the Qin clan? How could the Qin clan have such magnanimity? Xian Tianwen felt that this was the most absurd thing in the world. His throat felt dry. Vividly, he felt that he seemed to be at a disadvantage in the first round. He had been schemed against by his opponent. If the 100 Lane clan could ask for help from the Qin clan, then the 1,000 Feather sect could also ask for help from the Qin clan. If the Vase Mound Mountain could not defeat the 100 Lane clan, what could the 100 Sword sect use to win against the 1,000 Feather sect? For your information, in terms of strength, the 1,000 Feather sect was even stronger than the 100 Lane clan. If the two suzerains of the Thousand Feather sect could receive the defying weapons from Qin Wushuang, most likely all the plans of the Hundred Swords sect would not work out. When he told this situation to Saberbeard in a low voice, Saberbeard said with disdain, "Daoist Tianwen, this Vase Mound Mountain and the Hundred Swords sect are only external powerhouses. It's better if they can win. If they cannot, it will not affect the overall situation. As long as we seize the Heavenly Emperor seat and kill the Qin clan, regardless of what the external powerhouses do, the final situation will be controlled by you and me. Even if the 100 Lane clan and the Thousand Feather sect seek refuge with the Qin clan, the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect, what about it? Once the Qin clan is annihilated, they will also scatter like monkeys when the tree falls. We will take care of them slowly in the future." Although he spoke these words, in the end Xian Tianwen was not willing to accept it. His overall plan was to control the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and not just annihilate the Qin clan. He said, "I refuse to believe that the Qin clan has so many defying weapons to lend. Perhaps the Hundred Swords sect and the Vase Mound Mountain will not have more than 50% chance of winning. However, for the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect, I refuse to believe they will lose." Just as they were whispering, the first battle of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant had already started. Fire Kylan was fighting against Head Elder Hu Qiuzhen of the Vase Mound Mountain. Xian Tianwen prayed inwardly, "This Hu Qiuzhen must remember the warning, we must catch the other party off guard. When fighting with a transformation Supreme Tao Divine Beast, without a sneak attack, there is no chance of winning." Initially, Saberbeard had especially given each of the 4 trusted powerhouses of the Xian clan 2 sealed beast spiritual beasts that possessed tremendous power. Although it was not Saberbeard's strongest attack, it could match the strongest attack of a 5th or 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao Warrior. As long as one could control it well, there would be hope to kill a 1st or 2nd Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao Divine Beast. However, everything would depend on one's performance. If the enemy launched a fierce attack right from the start, with the strength of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage, the chances of winning would be slim. Most likely, he would not even have the chance to launch a sneak attack. Therefore, this battle would completely depend on one's performance. What made Xian Tianwen feel excited was that as soon as Fire Kylan came up, he was not in a rush to launch a strong attack. Instead, he used guerrilla tactics as if he was tempting Hu Qiuzhen to use his trump cards. Xian Tianwen did not consider what Fire Kylan was doing. Inwardly, he only thought, "Hurry and launch a sneak attack, hurry and launch a sneak attack." When facing a transformation Supreme Tao Divine Beast, it would be a lie to say that Hu Qiuzhen was not nervous. Dazzling before his eyes, there was only a wave of red clouds that seemed to have wrapped the entire Xian Yuan stage. Hu Qiuzhen had never even fought with an elite warrior of the Coagulate Supreme Tao stage, not to mention a transformation Supreme Tao Divine Beast. Although his eyes were covered in darkness, he remembered the advice and clenched his teeth to grab the talisman that sealed the beast presence. He initiated the spell and hand techniques at the same time. With a whoosh, a miserable beast presence attack formed into a burst of solid aura. With a green face and fangs, it grabbed at Fire Kylan. Indeed, this imposing manner was on par with the strongest attack of a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao Divine Beast. Instantly, the entire Xian Yuan stage was filled with demonic aura and a gloomy fog. The sound of wailing ghosts and howling wolves from different places converged into a symphony and covered Fire Kylan tightly. Xian Tianwen slapped his thigh and instantly, his eyes lit up. This Fire Kylan was courting death. With such arrogance, it would be strange if he did not die. Unexpectedly, the sudden change of the situation on the stage was beyond everyone's expectation. Initially, the situation that appeared to be controlled by Hu Qiuzhen's strange attack suddenly took a turn and a dramatic scene appeared. Suddenly, Fire Kylan beamed with joy. A ball of fire rose from his entire body and formed bursts of dense fire net. Inside the fire net, a layer of golden cloud emitted resplendent lights. With flashes, it was extremely dazzling. Old Hu Qiuzhen, I reckon your little sealed beast presence is only at the 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Can it break my 9th Calamity Supreme Tao armor? 9th Calamity Supreme Tao armor. As soon as he spoke these words, Xin Tianwen almost spurted out a mouthful of blood. Wasn't he deliberately infuriating him? To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 859. Regarding the background of Fire Kylan, everyone had sharp eyes and ears. As soon as he appeared, they knew that he was from the Qin clan. The fact that the Qin clan was helping the 100 Lane clan already made many people dumbstruck. Fire Kylan was the first to appear, yet he had already raised the standard to a 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao armor. Many people simply rolled their eyes and knew that the Vase Mound Mountain would lose for sure. She was simply flirting with him and showing off in front of him. The reason why he did not make a killing move was because he wanted Hu Qiuzhen to use his trump card. When he used his trump card, he would defeat him cleanly. Naturally, such action would have a first-class effect in terms of attacking the morale. Hu Qiuzhen lost without the slightest suspense. His strength was far inferior and his equipment was inferior. Without almost any trump cards, he was slapped off the stage directly by Fire Kylan. He spat out 3 liters of blood and his face was as white as paper. If Qin Wushuang had not let Fire Kylan restrain himself appropriately and not kill needlessly, Ten Hu Qiuzhen would have died on the spot. Qin Wushuang did not let Fire Kylan kill more people, not because he was merciful or sympathized with the Vase Mound Mountain. He was just putting on an act for the hundreds of thousands of people at this Taoist sect. Look, besides the Xian clan, the main villain, the Qin clan did not kill the accomplices. Such details seemed unremarkable, yet it was 100% effective to bribe people's hearts. After the failure of the first battle, the morale of the Vase Mound Mountain was instantly weakened. For the second battle, they sent out the sealed beast soul. For the 100 Lane House, second suzerain by Li Tu stepped out. Regardless, the sealed beast soul was a 4th or 5th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao beast soul. Although his combat power was reduced by 2 levels, he was still more powerful than Bai Li Tu at the Coagulate Supreme Tao stage. In the calculation of Qin Wushuang and the 100 Lane clan, this was a round where they could win or lose. The most crucial part was the third round. Due to the fact that there was no pressure, the battle between Bai Li Tu and the beast spirit was rather exciting. How could a Coagulate Supreme Tao elite warrior resist? Although his defense was impenetrable, his attack power was lacking. He was unable to form a fatal attack on the beast spirit, which was equivalent to standing in a losing position. As such, defeat was only a matter of time. Of course, Qin Wushuang had enough equipment, but if this equipment was given to Bai Li Tu, who did not have any advantage in terms of talent, it might not be effective even if he spent a lot of money. Therefore, in the second round, Qin Wushuang chose to give up. Bai Li Tu persevered for a little less than an hour before his body floated down from the Xian Yuan stage, admitting defeat. Xian Yuanba didn't say anything. How could an expert like him not see through this kind of battle? If Bai Li Tu were to fight to the death, he would only be asking for trouble. It would be more dignified to surrender voluntarily. In the world of cultivators, if one's strength was inferior, taking the initiative to admit defeat was not a shameful thing. When Bai Li Tu took the initiative to admit defeat, it caused an uproar beneath the stage. Previously, the spectators who were excited because of the appearance of Fire Kylan suddenly felt that the Bailitu family was only SOSO. Could it be that they had no other moves after the first round? Instantly, many more suspense emerged from the competition that they had thought was without suspense. The third round was the deciding round. Although Xian felt that Bailitu must be hiding some scheme since he admitted defeat so readily, when it came to the third round, there was no room for schemes. It was a competition of strength and equipment. Bai Liguang walked onto the Xian Yuan stage leisurely and shot a glance at Xian Tianwen as if he was demonstrating his power. It was as if he was going to vent all the repressed feelings from being oppressed by the Xian clan through this glance. He felt a great sense of exaltation. If it were in the past, certainly Bai Litu Guang would not dare to provoke Xian Tianwen like this. Yet now, he felt he had enough confidence. Since he was oppressed by Xian Tianwen for so many years, indeed he needed an outlet to vent the anger from his heart. Xian Tianwen was infuriated by Litu Guang's disdainful attitude. However, on the surface, he appeared to be in a meditative state and turned a deaf ear. Inwardly, a surge of anger shot up violently. Even someone like Litu Guang dared to provoke him. Xian Tianwen felt that perhaps he should use some valiant methods to establish his power? Daoist Tianwen, calm down. Saber-Beard's leisurely voice sounded. This Litu Guang has sought refuge with the Qin clan. Most likely, each of his movements are part of the Qin clan's tactics. They are deliberately provoking you to make you angry so you cannot perform at your best. This is an outside move. Haha, Daoist Saber-Beard has a sharp insight, indeed you hit the mark. Let them be arrogant. When I sit on the Heavenly Emperor seat, I will settle the score with them slowly. Litu Guang, sooner or later I will let you know the meaning of regret. Thinking here, Xian Tianwen could not refrain himself from looking at the Qin clan. Yet, he saw Qin Wushuang closing his eyes slightly. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly as if a light smile was mixed with mockery. Just when Xian Tianwen shot his gaze over, Qin Wushuang suddenly opened his eyes and fixed his gaze on Xian Tianwen with a faint smile. His eyes were filled with ridicule. Xian Tianwen was not interested. In terms of such petty actions caused by personal feelings, how could an old-fashioned man like him be a match for a young man? Qin Wushuang flicked his sleeve lightly and made a casual movement with his right hand. He pointed his thumb down and opened his mouth. With a poo sound, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, he closed his eyes and ignored Xian Tianwen. Xian Tianwen gritted his teeth with hatred and could not refrain himself from clenching his fists tightly. On the Xian Yuan stage, the decisive game that would decide the first spot of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates was about to start. Litu Guang did not seem to have come to fight. Showing a leisurely expression, he appeared to be taking a stroll in his own backyard. He narrowed his eyes slightly into a line and shot a glance at Hu Chirue. Young Hu Chiu, I have fulfilled your wish and let you be qualified to face me. However, I can promise that this will become your lifelong nightmare. Hu Chirue also had a vicious mouth as he gave tit for tat. Only a nightmare? I will make sure you don't even have the chance to have a nightmare. Litu Guang deliberately shivered and said with a strange tone, Ah, I am so scared. Tell me, how much equipment and benefits did your master give you? Hu Chirue gave a snort. Don't pretend to be noble and virtuous. Who doesn't know that you are now a watchdog of the Qin clan? Litu Guang roared with laughter. The Qin clan has noble character and unquestionable integrity. As long as you are not blind, you can see it. That's right, the 100 Lane clan has asked for help from the Qin clan. The Qin clan has disregarded former grudges and is broad-minded. They have the bearing of a benevolent person. Such a magnanimous clan is suitable to be the master of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. You didn't see that under the rule of the Qin clan, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain has seen many flourishing times. Now, besides attacking dissidents, what else did the Heavenly Emperor Gate do for the Heavenly Emperor Mountain? For the martial arts world of the Xian Yuan Mound to flourish, there must be a broad-minded and top-notch sect to govern it. Young Hu Qiu, you said that it is not shameful for the 100 Lane clan to seek refuge with the Qin clan. It's called a fine bird choosing a tree to nest in. On the contrary, tisk tsk, for that declining powerhouse you think you have found a big tree? Don't cross the river like a clay bodhisattva, you cannot even protect yourself. His offensive words were not only targeted at the Vase Mound Mountain, but also the Xian clan. It was almost the same as slapping Xian Tianwen's face. All the spectators beneath the stage turned pale with astonishment. Even those participating sects were shocked by Li Tuguang's word. Regardless, the Heavenly Emperor's seat had not been decided yet. Even if they had confidence in the Qin clan, they would not have inflated to this extent. Could it be they truly knew that the Xian clan could not make a comeback? Regardless of Xian Tianwen's best control, his face had turned into the color of a pig's liver. Since ancient times, for such battles, a battle of words was also a part of the content. It was something all the spectators loved to see and hear. Therefore, Xian Yuanba only watched coldly from the side and did not interfere. He did not urge them to start the battle. Hu Qiurue flew into a rage out of humiliation. He grabbed with his hand and a giant blade already appeared in his hand. He shouted, "Let's see if your hands are as nimble as your mouth." Li Tuguang was not careless as he roared with laughter. He still stood with his hands behind his back. You can still resist when it comes to talking. You will not have any part in fighting. After he finished speaking, Li Tuguang's body flashed and transformed into hundreds of shadows. When he flashed on the Xian Yuan stage, there were shadows in all directions. Wherever the shadows floated, it seemed as if tens and thousands of blades were attached to his body. The dark mass formed all kinds of illusory weapons to greet Hu Qiurue's entire body. Indeed, Hu Qiurue's strength was much less than Li Tuguang's. If Xian Tianwen had not given him a Supreme Dao weapon at the 6th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage, he would not have much of a chance to win. He waved the giant blade and the biting cold blade light emitted cold light. With a slash from the left and right, he kept slashing. Like bursts of air walls, they kept congealing around his body. Intersecting with each other, they formed a lotus-shaped defensive circle. For such lotus-shaped defensive circle, layer by layer, it possessed powerful defensive power. When Li Tuguang's attack arrived, that lotus-shaped blade light withdrew its defense and gathered on the Xian Yuan stage to form a budding flower bud. All of a sudden, it spun at a rapid speed. As soon as it spun, the white and eerie blade light instantly stirred up countless sparkling and translucent starlight ripples. It spread out in all directions. Instantly, the entire Xian Yuan stage sparkled with starlight. Li Tuguang laughed. "You have some skills. It seems you are not completely useless." As soon as his voice dropped, suddenly, Li Tuguang's expression froze. He raised his hands and a long spear appeared in his hands. He raised it high and instantly, like a dancing dragon, it carried a powerful ancient presence as if it could tear apart the entire sky. As he pointed the spear, the head of the spear immediately rolled up a whistling whirlpool. It swept across that starry illusion and instantly, everything became clear. Once again, the Xian Yuan stage regained its tranquility. On the other side, the glittering light from the giant blade in Hu Qiurue's hand seemed to have become much dimmer. It let out a miserable cry. The two divine weapons were actually able to determine the winner in a single exchange. Compared to Hu Qiurue's giant blade, the giant spear in Li Tuguang's hand was imposing. Like an immemorial desolate beast that had been dormant for tens and thousands of years, it emitted a proud presence that was awe-inspiring. 3 spears, Hu Chirue, if you can take 3 of my spears, I, Bai Li Tu Guang, truly admire you. Bai Li Tu Guang was full of lofty sentiments. He laughed loudly without any fancy moves. His body and the giant spear formed a perfect fit. With amazing speed and a perfect arc, the tip of the spear was very sharp and pointed directly at Hu Chirue's forehead. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com to read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 860. The imposing manner of this spear seemed to have opened a hole in the sky as a surge of star power poured down. It transformed into a burst of dragon-like power and swept over. Uchirue blocked it with the giant blade in his hand unconsciously. He waved the blade with his arm, as if it was flying and water could not get through. Bursts of blade lights were pulled out to form layers of defensive walls to try to block this astonishing spear attack. Xian Tianwen could not refrain himself from jumping up. Idiot! Initially, Uchirue wanted to make himself appear battered and exhausted from the disadvantage. Then, he would unleash the sealed beast presence to launch a surprise attack on Bai Liguang. Unexpectedly, Bai Liguang's full power attack was this astonishing. He did not even have the chance to defend himself. This time, even the most layman could see through it. Initially, Uchirue planned to rely on his powerful weapon to make up for the difference in power between him and Bai Liguang. Unexpectedly, Bai Liguang's weapon was even more powerful. It had completely suppressed Uchirue's weapon. Before Bai Liguang's giant spear, that giant blade could not make any waves. Boom! With the surge of powerful airflow, instantly a burst of strong light surged from the Xian Yuan stage. In the next moment, like a desperate kite, Uchirue's body flew backwards. He dropped below the Xian Yuan stage with a face full of dust. Bai Liguang had blasted him off the stage directly. After struggling for a while, blood spurted out from his mouth. Uchirue's face was ashen as his divine soul trembled. How could he dare to act recklessly? As if he had done something insignificant, Bai Liguang shook his head helplessly. His expression seemed to be complaining that the opponent was too weak. Holding the long spear in one hand, Bai Liguang bowed to Xian Yuanba and cupped his hands in a salute to express his gratitude. When he turned to look at the Xian clan, Bai Liguang raised the corner of his mouth slightly. A mocking smile emerged as he walked down the stage leisurely. How could Xian Tianwen not know that Bai Liguang was deliberately provoking him? Waves of cheers came from beneath the stage. Clearly, they were extremely astonished at Bai Liguang's easy victory. They felt admiration from the bottom of their hearts. A trace of smile hung from the corner of Xian Yuanba's mouth. He stood up and said with a loud voice, "Congratulations to the 100 Lane clan for successfully defending one of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. Although the Vase Mound Mountain has failed, don't be discouraged. Keep up the good work." The words of congratulations and consolation that came from the mouth of a Xianyuan totem powerhouse naturally had a different flavor. Cheers rose from all around. For a moment, a small climax was set off. The first round of the competition had ended, and a day had passed so quickly. Everyone felt that it was not enough. They wished that the sun would not set so that the competition could continue. After a night of waiting, many impatient people were looking forward to the dawn. They couldn't wait to wake up the sun and blow away the stars in the sky. Although there weren't any big waves in the first round of battle, the brilliance was constantly being displayed. For example, the Divine Beast Fire Kylan's 9th Tribulation Supreme Dao battle armor, and Bai Liguang's unexpected use of a stronger Supreme Dao weapon to suppress Uchirue's 6th Tribulation Transformation Supreme Dao weapon. For those forces who had never seen the world, it was obviously a feast in all aspects. The 100 Lane clan's victory gave the 1,000 Feather sect a lot of confidence. Although the Qin clan did not send any divine beasts to assist them, the current situation of the third-level duel was incredibly clear. Regardless of the Vase Mound Mountain or the Hundred Sword sect, the elite warriors of the third level were incomparable to the veteran Heavenly Emperor Mountain powerhouses in terms of strength. Therefore, as long as they were on guard against the sneak attack of their sealed beast soul, plus with their powerful defying weapons, it would not be a problem for them to win in the third level. With no problem in the third level, it would not be a disaster even if they lost in the second level. In the first level duel, Luo Baiyu's equipment was the same as Bai Liguang's. Luo Baiyu's own strength was even stronger than Bai Liguang's. It would not be difficult to defeat the leader of the Hundred Sword sect. Brother Guang, congratulations! Luo Baiyu was the first to arrive at the Hundred Lane clan's camp to congratulate him. Bai Liguang suppressed the Vase Mound Mountain and defended a spot in the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gate. Naturally, he was in high spirits. Brother Baiyu, the Supreme Dao Weapon Master lent us, is truly powerful. Don't worry, Wu Xuanhu, the leader of the Hundred Sword sect, is not as powerful as Hu Chirue. With Master Supreme Dao Weapon, it's as easy as turning your hand to win. You just need to be on guard against the sneak attack of his sealed beast soul. Luo Baiyu had grasped the essence of the battle from Bai Liguang. He also felt much more assured. His earlier worries had also been tossed to the back of his mind. Brother Guang, now your 100 Lane clan has come ashore. You have also received Master's reward. To speak the truth, I was truly worried earlier. Bai Liguang sneered. I already told you, your worries are unnecessary. It's not like you haven't seen Master's work. The 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapons he lent us are all genuine goods at fair prices. To speak the truth, for that stingy XN clan, besides squeezing us dry, they are stingy. Now that we need others to risk their lives, what's the use of giving them some benefits? Brother Baiyu, I am truly regretful. Initially, I should not have been oppressed by Xin Tianwen's despotic power to attack the Qin clan. If we had held on, then certainly our position would be comparable to the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect. Now, although Master is treating us well, in the end we must be on guard. Ah, the past is unbearable to recall. Luo Baiyu gave a long sigh. I can see that in terms of equipment, Xin Tianwen is incomparable to Master. I guess that Master must have acquired many treasures from the immemorial formation. Look at the weapons Master lent us, they are all at the peak of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. Certainly it would be better to lend them to the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect. That's reasonable. The opponents the Misty Sword sect and the Floating Snow House challenged are much stronger than the ones we faced. Haha, Brother Baiyu, it's truly refreshing to use a 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon. Unfortunately, it's borrowed. Luo Baiyu was also moved and extremely fascinated. Brother Guang, wouldn't it be great if Master bestowed us with this 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon? Bai Liguang's expression sank. Brother Baiyu, you have a big appetite, don't push your luck. It's already good that Master is willing to bestow us with a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon. Look, what kind of reward can we get by working for Xin Tianwen? That's right, we must not be too greedy. Luo Baiyu immediately nodded in agreement. However, Master once revealed that if we perform outstandingly, he can lend us this 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon for 2 or 3,000 years. Really? Although in the martial arts world, 2 or 3,000 years was not an exaggeration, it was indeed a long time. Haha, that will depend on how you perform. If you can defeat the 100 Sword sect, perhaps Master will agree when he is in a good mood. Luo Baiyu said with a determined tone, we must exert all our efforts. He also knew that if the 1,000 Feather sect could not break out of the encirclement, it would be the same as being kicked out. Although the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates would lose their position, certainly the Qin clan would choose someone else. The competition was in full swing. The second round of competition was between the Great Second Gate and the mysterious Reform Gate. To the Qin clan, this round of competition appeared secondary. These two houses were old rivals. Due to the entanglement of gratitude and grudges, it was extremely complicated. The battle situation was also extremely anxious. However, in some cases there was a huge difference between having a backer and not having one. To the mysterious Reform Gate, they would not dare to ask for help from the Qin clan, much less the Xian clan. However, the Yun clan supported their rival, the Great Second Gate. Therefore, the mysterious Reform Gate did not gain favor from three sides. Although the Great Second Gate was slightly inferior to the mysterious Reform Gate, they also developed rapidly in these years. Plus, with the deliberate nurturing from the Yun clan, they won 2 rounds in a row and did not even give the mysterious Reform Gate the chance to fight the third round. This way, the mysterious Reform Gate also became the first Heavenly Emperor Mountain sect to be disqualified since the start of the competition. The Great Second Gate had successfully seized a spot. Naturally, the entire Great Second Gate was endlessly jubilant. This leap of a carp leaping over the Dragon's Gate was definitely an opportunity for the sect. An opportunity to strengthen themselves. Especially when considering the opening of the God-discarding door in 20 years, such opportunity appeared even more precious. Everyone knew that ordinary sects were not qualified to participate in the opening of the God-discarding door. Only powerhouses at the level of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates were qualified to participate. At this moment, entering the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates was equivalent to acquiring a heavenly fortuitous opportunity. Naturally, the mysterious Reform Gate would lose a heavenly opportunity. Perhaps the sect would fall and never recover from this setback. To the Great Second Gate, the only variable was who would acquire the Heavenly Emperor seat. It was because when the Heavenly Emperor ascended the seat, they would have the qualification to banish. With that qualification, most likely the Great Second Gate would become the target of banishment. However, they would have to do it with real swords and spears. Additionally, when the new Heavenly Emperor ascends the seat, usually the banishment would pick the most hated opponent. For a new powerhouse like the Great Second Gate, they would not be chosen if they were not dazzling. Qin Wushuang definitely had a knot in his heart regarding the Great Second Gate. Qin Wushuang also tried to rope in this Great Second Gate. However, this Great Second Gate feigned civility and showed an ambiguous attitude. In the end, they turned to the Yun clan. For such fence-sitter style, Qin Wushuang did not like them. However, this was not the time to care about the Great Second Gate. It was because to the Qin clan, the final battle for the third spot was extremely important. For the third spot, the floating snow house would challenge the heavenly punishing villa. On the third day, at 7 in the morning, Xian Yuanba began to announce the list of participants from both sides. This list would only be announced the moment before the start of the competition to prevent other parties from tampering. For the floating snow house, Ai Simo, with the bloodline of the immemorial Azure Dragon, would fight in the third tier. Bao Bao, with the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey, would fight in the second tier. Mu Rong Qianji, the suzerain, would enter the first tier with the name of the suzerain. In fact, this arrangement was crafty. Qin Wushuang did not plan to let his father-in-law fight in the third round. It was because he knew that at the moment, certainly his father-in-law was inferior to Yan Beifei, the veteran supreme Dao elite warrior. For the heavenly punishing villa, with the death of Yan Guinan, they were indeed short on manpower. Clearly, they did not plan to fight for the third tier. They only sent out elite warriors of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. They chose to fight in the second and first tier. The second tier was a sealed beast soul at the 6th calamity of the transformation supreme Dao stage. It was apparent that Xian Tianwen had spent a lot of capital. Yan Beifei would oversee the first tier. For these 2 tiers, Xian Tianwen was full of confidence. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 861. In fact, this battle could be seen as an early showdown between the Qin and the Xian clan. It was because both parties were their most trusted followers. Currently, the floating snow house and the Qin clan shared a father-son-in-law relationship. Naturally, they shared a good relationship. The heavenly punishing villa had always been the best left and right arm of the Xian clan. These 2 houses did not avoid it at all. Before the list was announced, the floating snow house was with the Qin clan and the heavenly punishing villa was with the Xian clan. This time, Xian Tianwen spent a lot of capital. Not only did he lend a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao Divine Beast, he also lent Yan Beifei a Supreme Dao weapon at the peak of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. He almost lent out his own genuine Divine 6 weapons. Beifei, for this round, you must observe the situation clearly. For the first round, you have no chance of winning. Just play around and strategically give up. The second round will be the deciding round for you. As long as you take the second round, even if Mu Rongqianji has a genuine divine weapon, he will not be your opponent in the third round. The difference between you and him is too great. Mu Rongqianji had only broken into the Supreme Dao stage for a dozen years. In the Supreme Dao domain, he was basically a newbie. Clearly, he was incomparable to Yan Beifei, a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao elite warrior who had entered the Supreme Dao stage for more than 1,000 years. In other words, for the third round, Mu Rongqianji had no chance of winning. Although Yan Beifei was not as intelligent as Yan Guinan, his analytical skills were not weak. He nodded. Looking at the floating snow house, they should also be fighting for the second round. Isn't Bao Bao that stinky monkey next to Qin Wushuang? That's right, according to the information, that monkey only broke into the Supreme Dao stage a dozen years ago. However, I heard he has the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey. However, for a dozen years, how powerful could he be? Compared to a sealed beast soul at the 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao stage, for sure there is a difference. Yan Beifei was also full of confidence. Yes, we have seen the battle of that monkey. Although his fighting style is swift and fierce, he clearly lacks experience. I think for this round we have 60% chance of winning. Xian Tianwen's expression went cold. I want 100% chance. The Vase Mound Mountain and the 100 Swords sect can lose. Because they are challengers, it's not embarrassing to lose. You guys are old sects, the golden signboard of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates, you guys cannot afford to lose. Yan Beifei sweated and quickly nodded in agreement. Inwardly, he still felt somewhat uncomfortable. He felt that if it weren't for your torment, not only did they not achieve anything when besieging the Qin clan, they lost so many Supreme Dao elite warriors. How could their manpower be stretched to make ends meet today? On the other hand, the Qin clan was extremely calm. From beginning to end, Qin Wushuang had a confident smile on his face. Head Mu Rong, for this battle, you will be in charge of going up the stage and watching. Trust me, you will not need to step out and one of the spots of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates will fall into your hand. Qin Wushuang's words caused Mu Rongqianji and the other brothers to reveal joyous expressions. They looked at each other and felt extremely excited. Ai Simo chuckled and said, Daddy Emor One, is there any reward? Yes, I'll find you a good husband in the dragon race, Qin Wushuang said seriously. Ai Simo's cheeks immediately turned red and she said angrily, Dad, you're too much. Be careful, I might bully your little disciple. As she said this, she winked at Yang Yi who stood next to Qin Wushuang. When this Mo saw Qin Wushuang spoiling his new disciple, she could not refrain herself from having the intention to compete for his favor. Senior sister Mo, I did not provoke you. Yang Yi stuck up her mouth and was not happy. Alright, stop messing around. Let's get down to business. Qin Wushuang moved his face and instantly, the few little ones shut up. It was apparent that Qin Wushuang had some prestige. Mo, as someone with the bloodline of the Dragon Clan, you must let everyone know that the immemorial dragon bloodline is not a bluff, understand? Mo loved face the most and had the same moral conduct as the disciples of the Dragon Clan. That was, she was extremely proud and prideful. Upon hearing Wushuang's provocation, she stuck out her chest and said, Dad, don't worry, I will make him lose his sense of direction in 3 moves. Yes, Bao Bao, your responsibility is greater than Mo's. Qin Wushuang looked at Bao Bao. Bao Bao scratched his head unconsciously and laughed mischievously. Boss, I don't need to remind you. I've been your brother for so many years and fought many battles with you. It's only a sealed beast soul. For sure, I will beat him until his head is full of bruises. While everyone laughed, Qin Wushuang said seriously, Bao Bao, regarding strength and bloodline, I have no doubts about you. However, you have one problem, you are clumsy and immature. You are not reliable. You are too young and immature. It's easy for you to underestimate the enemy. This is a great taboo on the battlefield. Bao Bao stuck out his tongue. Ha, boss, I will listen to you and not underestimate the enemy. Before the enemy falls, I will not stop. Yes, remember my words, don't dawdle with the enemy. When you go up, swing the yin-yang stretching rod and beat him to death. Bring out your demonic fighting style and let everyone see what the yin-yang stretching rod is. The yin-yang stretching rod is to beat you into a human rod. Ha! Everyone laughed out loud. After Qin Wushuang had shaken off such a burden, everyone's nervous mood had clearly eased. Go perform well. Don't have any burdens. When both parties went up the stage, Murong Su stood next to Qin Wushuang and gently held Qin Wushuang's arm. She asked in a low voice, Brother Wushuang, the floating snow house will win for sure. Ha, Su Air, the floating snow house will wait to move into the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. Ah, the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates are great. However, after living at the floating snow house for so many years, we have a deep relationship. Murong Su felt somewhat embarrassed. Silly girl, each of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates controls 100,000 miles of land. Regardless of resources or spiritual chi, they are many times better than the floating snow house. If you are unwilling to part with the floating snow house, you can build a branch. Choose an uncle and let him stand guard over there. Anyways, all the powerhouses in the past did this. Murong Su revealed a slight smile and said wittily, Is this called a crafty rabbit having 3 burrows? Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. Watch the competition. On the stage, after Xian Yuanba had finished his introductory speech, the 2 contestants of the 3rd tier had already gone up the stage. Possessing the bloodline of the immemorial Azure Dragon, Ai Simo transformed into her true form directly. Before the powerful dragon breath, her opponent, that martial artist at the exquisite mysterious boundary, was scared witless. Currently, Ai Simo was also a Supreme Dao Dragon at the peak of the Coagulate Supreme Dao stage. When she activated all of her dragon breath, she was not much weaker than ordinary divine beasts at the 2nd or 3rd calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. When the dragon breath that filled the sky interweaved together, it caused the entire body of that opponent to go limp. Not to mention counterattacking, he did not even have the physical strength to stand firmly. This kind of situation simply left everyone dumbstruck. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang applauded. Such a good Mo, such a clever and mischievous girl. Qin Wushuang had never thought of such a method of battle. Indeed, it was to his satisfaction. How was this a battle? It was clearly a slap to the face. The muscles on Xian Tianwen's face twitched slightly. When facing such a scene, clearly he also felt incredibly embarrassed. He wanted to find a hole to crawl into. The difference was too great. Between the spreading of the dragon breath, one only heard a miserable howl. That martial artist had a mental breakdown as he started to cry loudly. I admit defeat, I admit defeat. Before Ai Simo made a move, her opponent had completely collapsed. A burst of booing emerged from all directions beneath the stage. Up until now, this was the most cowardly competition they had seen. Before the battle even started, he was already crying and begging for mercy? Could this guy be a spy sent by the floating snow house to deliberately embarrass the heavenly punishing villa? However, since he admitted defeat, according to the rules, they were not allowed to kill him. Unless they signed a life and death agreement before the competition, they were allowed to kill without caring about the consequences. After all, Ai Simo was a little girl. When she saw a martial artist with a white beard crying bitterly before her, her heart softened. She cast away her lips and said, I am not going to kill you, why are you crying? Do people of the heavenly punishing villa like to cry this much? Who did you learn from, Xian Tianwen? This Xian clan had become a street rat. It was as if they would mock him whenever they had the chance. Initially, Bai Liguang and now this dragon girl seemed to hold a grudge against Xian Tianwen. Those with discerning eyes knew that this was Qin Wushuang's instruction. The first round ended dramatically. Without any surprise, the floating snow house did not give the heavenly punishing villa the slightest suspense and won directly. When the second round started, that sealed beast soul was released. Carrying a belly full of anger, bursts of ancient and mysterious demonic fog soared. When it revealed its true form, it was a violent male lion. This beast had a ferocious appearance, and was on par with the purple flame electric beast. Where is that stinking monkey? Come up, I am going to tear you into pieces. The lion divine beast roared, and the mane on his head danced with the wind. It gave people a feeling of great power. Bao Bao jumped out from the side of the floating snow house with a grin. He waved a few fancy moves with the yin-yang stretching rod in his hand and ignored that big guy. Instead, he said to Yen Beifei of the heavenly punishing villa, Old man Yen, hurry up and prepare to vacate the territory of the heavenly punishing villa. Don't just stand there, you will not even have the chance to go on stage in the third round. After he had finished speaking, he flipped his body and landed on the Xian Yuan stage with a dozen somersaults. He grabbed the yin-yang stretching rod in his hand and looked at the lion divine beast as if he was toying with his prey. That big idiot, don't think you can scare people with your ferocious appearance. I, Mr. Bao Bao, specialize in dealing with pretentious people like you. The lion divine beast gave a low growl. Stinking monkey, go die. This sealed beast soul had not fully awakened its intelligence. Thus, it only called him, stinking monkey, over and over again, and did not have any new trick. Bao Bao did remember Qin Wushuang's teachings. With a mischievous laugh, he grabbed the yin-yang stretching rod and twisted his body. Golden lights gushed to the sky, and instantly, the advantage of the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey was revealed. As soon as he initiated his temperament, he did not lose to ordinary divine beasts at the fourth calamity of the transformation's supreme Tao stage. Big guy, take my rod. He swung the yin-yang stretching rod high and smashed it down on his head. This rod contained 10,000 strikes in one strike. Driven by the golden lights, instantly, it surged with a burst of imposing manner as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him. The yin-yang stretching rod was a weapon at the sixth calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. At this moment its power was revealed. A series of tragic explosions rang out in the void, and the surrounding air cracked and moved in all directions, as if to make way for this shocking staff strike. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 862. Initially, the lion divine beast had been brainwashed by Xintianwen. He estimated Bao Bao to be at the peak of the coagulate supreme Tao stage. Unexpectedly, when this attack arrived, it was not the case. From the moment Bao Bao's aura surged, he felt something was wrong. How could this be the power of the coagulate supreme Tao stage? He was simply at the fourth or fifth calamity of the transformation supreme Tao stage. Additionally, the purity of his divine power made him, an ancient desolate beast, feel incredibly shocked. Immemorial bloodline, an extremely pure immemorial bloodline. The lion divine beast was also exceptional. Under this attack, his body trembled all of a sudden and transformed into a burst of subtle light to enter the sky. He had used the divine skill of invisibility. Bao Bao did not expect that this thick and ferocious lion divine beast would be able to play such small trick. However, to Bao Bao, such tricks were a piece of cake. Initially, after Bao Bao had fallen into the raging flame cliff, he started to practice the pupil attachment technique. He had trained a pair of discerning eyes. In terms of pupil techniques, even Qin Wushuang was far inferior to Bao Bao. Bao Bao held on to the yin-yang stretching staff and opened his eyes wide. Immediately, bursts of subtle halos emerged from his pupils. Rings of golden lights spread out from his eyes like ripples. As the golden lights spread out and shone into the sky, even a speck of dust could not hide. Due to the gigantic appearance of the lion divine beast, his original form was revealed when he was fixed by this pupil light. Once again, he swung the yin-yang stretching staff. With a long hiss, Bao Bao's entire body swelled up. The bones on his body kept bulging and emitted clear cracking sound. Following the bulging of the bones, his muscles also kept bulging. His four limbs kept stretching out. In an instant, Bao Bao's body had grown more than 10 times. The heaven and earth one rod swayed in the wind and actually lengthened as well. This way, Bao Bao's body was much bigger than the lion divine beast. His gigantic body was like a fierce warrior of the giant clan. Each time he took a step, a burst of muffled and giant sound emerged from the stone platform of the Xian Yuan stage. Boom, boom. Bao Bao, who had entered a frenzied demonic state, clearly, his destructive power had doubled. That lion divine beast could not help but roar madly. Despite its ferocious nature, it did not dare to clash head-on with Bao Bao. Bao Bao gave a long roar to the sky and kept swinging the yin-yang stretching rod. One rod after another, he smashed at the enemy's head. His might was astonishing. Each time when the stick came down, clearly, waves of tragic wrinkles appeared in the sky. The uneven space cracks accompanied by the glittering golden stick shadow locked the entire Xian Yuan stage within Bao Bao's attack. That lion divine beast kept roaring angrily. Clearly, he found it difficult to adapt to Bao Bao's unreasonable fighting style. Since Bao Bao had entered the demonic state, his stage was already superior to his. Plus, when he unleashed half of the potential of the yin-yang stretching rod, it had more than doubled Bao Bao's power. This way, the lion divine beast had to endure the pincer attack from two berserk Bao Bao. Naturally, this situation was not something his sealed beast soul could take care of. Although the beast soul was angry, it grumbled in its heart. However, its pride as a primordial desolate beast made it feel abnormally angry. Its avatar began to tremble as it emitted a strange blue light. And under the blue light, its body began to tremble gently. When Bao Bao saw the strange movements of this lion divine beast, he remembered Qin Wushuang's instructions at all times. Without daring to neglect, he attacked with the yin-yang stretching rod even more urgently. Like raindrops, the attacks kept coming at him. Each time he swung out the rod, it carried the power of a mountain. It would either hit, cover, or press. That lion divine beast endured attacks like a giant mountain. Clearly, his body did not dare to take it head-on. Despite dodging left and right, he was still grazed by that rod technique. His flesh was torn open and he was injured. Suddenly, the blue lights surrounding the body of the lion divine beast shone brightly. Amidst the blue lights, an incomparably devilish azure pearl dashed out. It was about the size of a wicker basket. As soon as this pearl flew out, instantly a burst of devilish power blocked the golden lights from Bao Bao's yin-yang stretching rod. It kept counteracting the attacks of the golden light. Beneath the stage, Saber Beard was moved inwardly as he revealed a trace of pleasant surprise. He sent his voice to Xian, "This lion divine beast is going to explode his beast core and die together with that stinky monkey." A trace of wildness was revealed from Xian's eyes. "Good, kill that stinky monkey. At most, it will be a tie. If it's a tie, according to the rules, the challenger will lose, ha ha." According to the rules, if it was a tie, it would depend on the level of the winning match. For example, if both parties had one win, one tie, and one loss, then, the higher the level of the winning match, the winner would be the winner. For example, the floating snow house and the heavenly punishing villa. For the third level, the floating snow house would win. For the second level, it would be a tie if both parties died together. For the first level, if Yen Beifei won, then the heavenly punishing villa would win. The heavenly punishing villa had won the first round of the competition. Even if the overall result was a tie, they would still be considered the winner if they won with a small result. In general, under the situation of a tie, the higher the level of the winning match, the more advantageous it would be. Bao Bao had the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey and was experienced and knowledgeable. Suddenly, he remembered something and shivered inwardly. Suddenly, he remembered something and a terrifying thought flashed across his mind. Explode the beast core. Exploding the beast core was the same as a human martial artist exploding their divine soul. This was a suicide attack that would destroy one's body and soul. Once the beast core exploded, it would be the same as a supreme Tao elite warrior exploding their divine soul. It would be irreparable and they would die for sure. Even the Creator could not save them. In the supreme Tao stage, the death of the body did not necessarily mean death. However, the death of the divine soul and the beast core would be true death. It would be death in the truest sense. Thinking here, Bao Bao was not careless at all. He withdrew the golden lights from his entire body, and with a somersault, he activated a powerful spiritual talisman from his hand to cover the lion divine beast. Dragon Breath Seal. This was a life-saving tool given to Bao Bao by Qin Wushuang. Unexpectedly, it was put to use. This Dragon Breath Seal was equivalent to the strongest attack from an 8th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao Warrior. When it exploded with a loud rumble, the wide coverage wrapped the beast core of the lion divine beast. Boom! The dragon breath that smashed onto the beast core ruthlessly caused the beast core to cry endlessly. Its hissing sound shook the sky. Bao Bao did not linger as he swept the yin-yang stretching rod across and smashed onto the beast core again. Boom! Another strike. Although the beast core and the divine soul could endure far more powerful attacks than the body, it was still not enough. Even for the divine soul and the beast core, it could not endure such attack. When the beast core was attacked twice, the biting cold blue lights instantly dimmed. At this moment, Bao Bao's gigantic body appeared. Suddenly, he opened his mouth. As soon as he opened his mouth, it seemed as if the heavenly river was hanging there. A burst of wild absorption power, as if the demonic wind from the 9 serene hells swallowed the beast core. Innate divine skill, devour! The beast core let out a miserable cry. Under this wild wave-like temperament, it held on with all its might and could not resist this absorption power. The golden lights kept expanding and the blue lights kept dimming. The golden light was like a greedy, ferocious beast, swallowing the blue light that was constantly being extinguished, one by one, continuously swallowing. In an instant, the blue light had completely disappeared. Bao Bao let out a few gurgling sounds from his throat and had already swallowed the beast core completely. The divine skill of the immemorial spiritual monkey was terrifying to such extent. Even Saber-Beard drew a breath of cold air when he saw it. He hissed, "Such monstrous talent! This stinky monkey, the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey, is extremely pure. Daoist Tianwen, if this stinky monkey is allowed to grow, in the future, his threat will not lose to that Qin Wushuang." Xian Tianwen's entire body went limp. As he watched the scene of the beast core getting swallowed, even the calm heavenly emperor could not refrain from sighing inwardly. Sorrow welled up from within. His hands that hid inside the sleeves trembled lightly. Bao Bao propped himself up with the yin-yang stretching rod and kept pounding his chest with one hand. Finally, that demonic core lost its presence completely and was completely refined into Bao Bao's stomach. It had become Bao Bao's food. Absorbing this beast core would save him at least 100 years of hard work. For your information, before this beast core was sealed, it was at least a divine beast at the 6th calamity of the transformation's supreme Dao stage. Although its power had decreased slightly after it was sealed, it was still extraordinary. Since it was an immemorial desolate beast, its supreme Dao essence blood was extremely pure. Because of this, it benefited Bao Bao. Ha ha ha! Bao Bao laughed proudly. Amidst his laughter, the golden lights kept condensing and shrinking. His body also gradually became smaller. After he had restored his original appearance, Bao Bao grabbed the yin-yang stretching rod and disappeared from his palm. When he was using the yin-yang stretching rod, it was a rod. When he was not using it, it could transform into the qi of the universe and conceal itself. It was incredibly marvelous. Bao Bao had won. Instantly, Yan Beifei's entire spirit collapsed. He opened his eyes widely and looked at Bao Bao, who was showing off on the Xian Yuan stage. Disbelief filled his eyes. Unwillingness and despair were written all over the face of this heavenly punishing villa master. Yan Beifei, I already told you to go back and prepare to make room. Why are you still standing here in a daze? Ha ha ha. Bao Bao would never mind to beat a drowning dog. He thought about how his boss had been bullied by these powerhouses for so many years. Today, he could finally hold his head high. One could imagine the joy Bao Bao felt inwardly. Like a statue, Yan Beifei was stupefied and did not utter a word. It was as if he was petrified. Xian Yuanba jumped onto the stage. For the second round, the floating snow house won. The floating snow house won 2 out of 3 rounds and replaced the heavenly punishing villa to gain a spot in the heavenly emperor 8 gate. The heavenly punishing villa is out. In 3 months, move 300,000 miles away from the heavenly emperor mountain. Suddenly, Yan Beifei gave a loud roar and spat out a mouthful of blood. Xian Tianwen could not help but twitch slightly. The anger inside his heart burned even more fiercely. At this moment, Qin Wushuang just happened to shoot his leisurely gaze over. He stayed calm and unruffled for a moment on Xian Tianwen's face. Then, he let out a meaningful smile and turned around. Xian Tianwen glared at Qin Wushuang and felt furious inwardly. Qin Wushuang, just be proud for a few days. Let's see how long you can be proud. When the Heavenly Emperor competition is over, if I do not play with the Qin clan until they collapse, I will write my name backwards. Such ruthless words could only comfort himself inwardly. It would not help the current situation at all. For the third round, the heavenly punishing villa was out and the floating snow house won. After this battle, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain Outer Challenge competition entered a new peak. For the fourth round, the 100 Sword sect challenged the 1,000 Feather sect. This was another continuation of the battle between the Xian clan and the Qin clan. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 863. When the Bailey family was challenged by the Vase Mound Mountain, Qin Wushuang sent Fire Qilin to help. Now, it seemed that he had made a mountain out of a molehill. Now that the Thousand Feather sect was facing the challenge from the Hundred Sword sect, with the information from Vase Mound Mountain, the Thousand Feather sect had a preliminary understanding of the Hundred Sword sect's strength and general situation, and their chances of victory were much higher. Even though they didn't have a divine beast to assist them, Qin Wushuang had specially borrowed an 8th Tribulation Divine Dao battle armor. Just this equipment alone was enough to guarantee that the Thousand Crane sect would be in an invincible position in the third-grade battle. The situation of Hundred Sword sect was not much different from Vase Mound Mountain. In the first round they couldn't do anything at all. Other than sealing the beast's breath, there was nothing else worth mentioning. On the Thousand Feather sect's side, apart from the 2 Supreme Dao Realm sect masters, there were also experts who were close to the Supreme Dao Realm. Under the protection of the 8th Tribulation Transformation Supreme Dao battle armor and equipped with decent offensive equipment, victory was within Qin Wushuang's expectations. On the contrary, ever since Xian Tianwen lost at the Vase Mound Mountain, he no longer held much hope for the Hundred Sword sect. Now, he was somewhat regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have concentrated his advantage to protect the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect. Lending the sealed beast souls to the Hundred Swords sect and Vase Mound Mountain only to end up like this was truly a double loss. If the 2 sealed beast souls lent to the Hundred Swords sect and the Vase Mound Mountain were all lent to the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect, the Heavenly Punishing Villa's chances of winning the third-tier battle were still very high. Their advantages were not concentrated and were scattered, resulting in a complete defeat. Not to mention the Hundred Swords sect and the Vase Mound Mountain, even the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect had a bleak future. Now that the Heavenly Punishing Villa had been eliminated, the Sound of Thunder sect would not be far away. Xian Tianwen was already in high and vigorous spirits before the start of the competition. Gradually, he became angry and almost went mad. Up to this point, he had gradually calmed down. After Saber-Beard's guidance, he also realized that it was a challenge from the external forces. Even if he lost, it would be fine. As long as the battle for Heavenly Emperor was in his hands, the situation could still be controlled. Therefore, now Xian Tianwen did not pay attention to the outside challenges. He did not care about these gains and losses and concentrated on the Heavenly Emperor competition. The failure on the outside made Xian Tianwen even more determined. He also knew that the Heavenly Emperor competition was the last chance for the Xian clan. If something were to happen during the Heavenly Emperor competition, this Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant would become the funeral of the Xian clan. If the Yun clan obtained the position of Celestial Emperor, that would be fine. If the Qin clan seized the Heavenly Emperor seat, then the Xian clan would never have the chance to rise again. Xian Tianwen's calmness was reasonable. Indeed, as he had expected, the Hundred Swords sect was a hopeless case. After being defeated in the first round, there was no suspense at all. Even though the Thousand Crane sect had strategically given up on the second round as well, the sect master of the Thousand Crane sect, Luo Baiyu, didn't give the Hundred Swords sect any chance since the third round began. On the other hand, the Hundred Swords sect seemed to have lost their will to fight after witnessing Vase Mound Mountain's defeat, and simply gave up on resisting after a while. Xian Tianwen did not have the time to be angry. How could he know that the Hundred Swords sect's resistance in the end was also due to the Qin clan? Although Wu Xuanhu, the sect master of the Hundred Swords sect, didn't know that his son, Wu Dingyuan, was the biggest spy, but Wu Dingyuan's analysis of the situation, as well as some methods of self-preservation, made Wu Xuanhu feel enlightened at this sensitive time. Wu Xuanhu had listened to his son's advice and gave up resisting. Although he had lost, Wu Xuanhu was not depressed at all. It was because he knew that the strength of the 100-sword sect was far inferior to the 1,000-crane sect. This was not something that could be made up in 1 or 2 days. What made him feel gratified was that his son, Wu Dingyuan, seemed to have matured. His analysis and grasp of the situation was sharper than his father, the leader of a sect. To any father who wished for his son to succeed, most likely the son's future was more worthy of joy than his own. In terms of the external competition, there were 4 battles between the Qin clan and the Xian clan. Then, without exception, the Qin clan had won the 3 battles that had ended. Some busybodies had already exaggerated this and formed a positive hint. They had guided the direction of public opinion. For the Qin clan, the 100-lane house, the floating snow house, and the 1,000-crane sect had all won. For those supported by the Xian clan, the Vase Mound Mountain, the Heavenly Punishing Villa, and the 100-sword sect had all won 100 times more. There was one more battle between the Misty Sword sect and the Sound of Thunder sect. Although the victor had not been determined, with the interference of the flowing Sound Valley, the Sound of Thunder sect was not optimistic at all. Therefore, one could almost say that up to this point, the Xian clan had been completely defeated. For the challenge competition, the 5th battle was also the most tangled triangle. Of course, the Xianyuan clan had sent 3 martial artists of different levels to be sparring partners and had solved a lot of problems. The battles for this battle were the Misty Sword sect against the Sound of Thunder sect, and the Flowing Sound Valley against the sparring partners of the Xianyuan clan. Xianyuan Ba started to announce the list of the 4 participating parties. These 2 battles had started at the same time in 2 different battle zones. This was to avoid any possibility of cheating due to the time difference. For the Misty Sword sect, they had almost copied the pattern of the floating snow house. The 3rd tier of the Misty Sword sect was the 2nd suzerain of the Misty Sword sect. He was also an elite warrior of the Supreme Dao stage. He was weaker than Qin Chongyang and more powerful than Qin Taichong. The 2nd tier was the Purple Flame Electric Beast that Qin Wushuang had loaned to them. The Purple Flame Electric Beast had just passed the first calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. As the 2nd tier, he did not hold any advantage against the Sealed Beast Soul at the 4th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. However, the problem was that the equipment and weapons that Qin Wushuang had given to the Purple Flame Electric Beast were not weaker than Bao Bao's. Most importantly, the Purple Flame Electric Beast was a mutated divine beast. His innate divine skills were also indescribably powerful. When fighting against Bao Bao, it would be hard to say who would win. It would not be difficult to deal with the Sealed Beast Soul. It was exactly the same strategy as the floating snow house. They would fight to the death for the first 2 rounds. For the 3rd round, they would not even need to fight. They would be depressed to death at the Sound of Thunder sect. In fact, Ding Qijian, the suzerain of the Misty Sword sect, could not beat Lei Ming. However, to determine the winner in 3 rounds, it would make Lei Ming the same as Yan Beifei. Although he had strength, he could not unleash it. Just as Qin Wushuang had expected, in the 3rd round, Ding Yujian, the 2nd suzerain of the Misty Sword sect, did not give the other party any chance. He used his incomparably fast sword moves to defeat the other party straightforwardly. Clearly, Lei Ming had expected this result. Therefore, he gave the Sealed Beast Soul a death order. Regardless, he must fight for a draw. Even if he had to fight to the death with his opponent, he must fight. However, with the experience from Bao Bao's battle, of course Qin Wushuang would not let the Purple Flame Electric Beast suffer a second loss. Before the Purple Flame Electric Beast went on the stage, He repeatedly reminded him to be on guard against the self-detonation of the other party's beast core and divine soul. Although the purple flame electric beast was a violent divine beast, he was a clever Zhang Fei, for he was meticulous. Different from Bao Bao's passionate fighting style, the purple flame electric beast did not refuse to use his brain in his violent fighting style. In other words, despite his rough appearance, the purple flame electric beast had a meticulous side. The weapon of the purple flame electric beast was also a weapon at the fifth or sixth calamity of the genuine supreme Dao stage. It was a pair of flowing cloud flying claws. This flying claw was compatible with the attacks of the purple flame electric beast. Besides this weapon, Qin Wushuang also equipped Qin Wushuang with a fire phoenix armor. It could provide 3 times the divine power of the fire attribute. This had simply armed the purple flame electric beast to the teeth. While he used the flowing cloud flying claws to torture his opponent, he used the supreme Dao genuine fire to refine his opponent. This supreme Dao genuine fire was also the fire soul that the purple flame electric beast had extracted from the island of Fire Kailan. The power of the immemorial spiritual fire was not an exaggeration. With the support of the fire phoenix armor, the attack formed by this supreme Dao genuine fire had the power to burn everything in the area. Inside the sea of fire on the Xian Yuan stage, the purple flame electric beast unleashed his divine power. That sealed beast soul was also determined to fight to the death with the purple flame electric beast. It tried to force out the demonic core several times, yet the purple flame electric beast was on guard against this point of his opponent. As soon as the opponent showed signs of forcing out the demonic core, his attack would shoot out like splashing water. He would not even have the chance to force out the demonic core. The purple flame electric beast's violent fighting style was exactly the same as Bao Bao's. The attacks of the flowing cloud flying claws left wounds on the body of the sealed beast soul. This flying claw was a genuine supreme Dao weapon. Although it did not hit the target directly, its power was terrifying even with a scratch. The more the purple flame electric beast fought, the braver he became. The myriad spiritual fire burned into a sea of fire and almost suffocated his opponent. The presence of the demonic core also became weaker. With a rumbling sound, his body exploded. That sealed beast soul did not hesitate to destroy his body to lure out the demonic core. It formed into a ball of incomparably devilish light. Like a falling meteor, it shot towards the purple flame electric beast directly. This was a self-exploding attack. The purple flame electric beast paid attention to this move and did not fall into the trap. He initiated the fire phoenix armor to the extreme as red lights emerged from his entire body. Balls of flames kept scuttling out from his body. The entire body of the purple flame electric beast was like a ball of raging flames, like a phoenix that had been reborn from the fire. The temperament that gushed out like a volcano and the destructive high temperature formed circles of fire defense around the purple flame electric beast's body. At this time, suddenly, the purple flame electric beast also opened his mouth and gave a roar. From his white steel teeth, a burst of lightning shot out directly. This lightning was purple in color. The purple divine lightning shot out with a rumbling sound and hit the demonic core without any warning. Innate divine skill, purple lightning's sudden thunder. Boom! Immediately, the power of this purple lightning struck the demonic core to become dim and lifeless. It could not help but tremble. With a sudden clap of thunder, the demonic core was completely shattered. With a rumbling sound, it shot out in all directions and turned into fine powder. The purple flame electric beast kept roaring madly. With a sweep of the flames, he rolled in the scattered presence of the shattered demonic core. As soon as this fire rolled in, all the impurities in the surrounding were burned into ashes without leaving a single trace. Second round, purple flame electric beast, victory. Lei Ming's expression instantly darkened. This purple flame electric beast used the thunderbolt technique in front of the Sound of Thunder sect. This was simply a slap in the face. The Sound of Thunder sect eliminated. The Misty Sword sect, victory, advanced to the second round. If the Flowing Sound Valley won, then the Flowing Sound Valley would decide the winner and the spot would be set. If the Flowing Sound Valley lost, then the Misty Sword sect would directly obtain a spot. If you want to know what will happen next, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 864. With the victory of the Misty Sword sect, regardless of the final result, it could be said that the powerhouse supported by the Heavenly Emperor Exian clan had lost completely. At this moment, Exian Tianwen was much calmer than in the beginning. He closed his eyes and ignored them. Out of sight, out of mind. In the past, the elite warriors sent out by the Xian Yuan clan would have more than 50% chance of winning. It would be around 50 to 60%. This time, the Flowing Sound Valley could be said to be unlucky. They were defeated by the elite warriors of the Xian Yuan clan and did not have the chance to participate in the next round. This result had benefited the Misty Sword sect as they had acquired the spot vacated by the Sound of Thunder sect. This way, the result of the outer challenge competition was completely decided. Those who were observant could see that in the competition for the 5 spots, besides the Great Second Gate winning against the mysterious Reform Gate, the ones who had the last laugh were all powerhouses supported by the Qin clan. From the beginning, when the 100 Lane House suddenly used the name of the Qin clan, all the way to the Floating Snow House, Thousand Feather sect, and Misty Sword sect had successfully acquired the spots. This was definitely not a coincidence. Even when Xian Yuanba saw the final result, he could not refrain from shaking his head slightly. Such result was too unexpected. In the previous confrontation with the Exian clan, the Qin clan could only defend. Who would have thought that the counterattack of the Qin clan would come with such ferocious momentum? Following the end of the challenge competition for the outer powerhouses, the first segment also ended perfectly. Indeed, this segment was brilliant and varied. All the powerhouses that came to watch were gasping in amazement. Comparing the gains and losses of the challenge competition with the strength of his own clan, he understood where the gap was, and this gave him more motivation. Naturally, this moment was the best time to educate the young disciples. The stimulation of such a grand scene would be the most beneficial to urge the young people to train actively. They would strive for the opportunity to participate in this pageant in the future. After the challenge competition had ended, the 100 Lane clan and Thousand Feather sect did not hide anything. Since everyone knew that they were walking the path of the Qin clan, there was no need to hide anything. They also fought fiercely with the Floating Snow House and Misty Sword sect. They had clearly formed a small group. When outsiders looked at this powerhouse, they were more or less surprised. Among the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates, they already occupied 4 spots. There was also the Qin clan challenging the Heavenly Emperor seat. If the Qin clan succeeded in their challenge, the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain would fall completely into their hands. Of course, the majority of the neutral sects had a favorable impression of the Qin clan. They felt that if the Qin clan were to acquire the Heavenly Emperor seat, it would be beneficial to the development of all sects in the Xian Yuan Mound. Inside the main tent of the Qin clan, the 3 major chiefs and a few minor chiefs were present. The leaders of the 4 great sects were also present. This time, they were able to succeed because of the help of the Qin clan. Without the help of the Qin clan, it could be said that none of the 4 houses could seize a spot to enter the Heavenly Emperor 8 gate. Although the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect did not possess the strength to contend against the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect, it was likely that the 100 clan and the Thousand Feather sect were also unable to withstand the challenge from the Vase Mound Mountain and the 100 Sword sect. Therefore, they were sincerely convinced this time. Luo Baiyu, in particular, felt very lucky. Initially, when Bai Liguang urged him to seek refuge with the Qin clan, he was more or less hesitant. Now it seemed that his hesitation at that time was truly stupid. If he had not sought refuge with the Qin clan, certainly the current Thousand Feather sect would have been disqualified with dust and dirt. For this point, one could refer to the outcome of the mysterious Reform Gate. The mysterious Reform Gate did not listen to their advice, and in the end, they were swept out by the Great Second Gate. It was apparent how important it was to have the support of a powerful powerhouse. And choosing the right powerful force, that is, choosing the right Lord of the Legends, was even more important. Although they all had the support of a powerful powerhouse, the sects that chose the Xian clan had suffered a complete defeat. This also made Luo Baiyu feel more emotional. Everyone, in the past I was ignorant and did not know the exceptional skills of the head chief Qin. Fortunately, I realized my mistake and walked on the right path. Ha, head chief, I will not speak of other things. In the future, the Thousand Feather sect will follow the Qin clan's lead. We will follow their orders. Ha, brother Baiyu, now you are finally enlightened, right? Ha. Bai Liguang was extremely proud. As the one who recommended him, he still felt proud. Ding Qijin of the Misty Sword sect also felt excited. As he was a new powerhouse, he was more careful with his words. However, at this moment, he also gathered his courage and said, "Friends, this challenge has fully proved that the Xian clan is only a paper tiger. The Qin clan is the most qualified and prestigious candidate for the Heavenly Emperor. I suggest that in the future, the four of us must unite and be determined. We must not be intimidated by the temptation and threats from the outside world. As long as we stick together, regardless of those threats or temptations, we will not let them in." These words were what Qin Wushuang liked to hear. Bai Liguang was a smart person, as he immediately agreed. Qijin is right, the most crucial point is to be determined. I am ashamed to say that previously under the despotic power of the Xian clan, we made a stupid choice. However, I promise that in the future, under the leadership of the Qin clan with both ability and integrity, we will stand firm and not let those evil spirits infiltrate. These were not empty words. Currently, he was Qin Wushuang's puppet and would not be able to resist the Qin clan. Additionally, being a puppet of the Qin clan would bring him many benefits. He would be an idiot to betray the Qin clan. Luo Baiyu was not willing to be outdone. Yes, Brother Guang has spoken my mind. When those chiefs of the Qin clan saw that these usually insufferably arrogant giants were obedient before Qin Wushuang, although they still felt some resentment inwardly, they were still incredibly proud. After all, giants like Luo Baiyu and Bai Liguang had become famous earlier than second chief Qin Yunran. They also possessed more tyrannical strength. Before head chief Qin Wushuang, they were obedient like little children. Indeed, such sense of accomplishment made them feel incredibly proud. The Qin clan had truly risen. On the contrary, Mu Rongqianji was extremely calm. His strength was inferior to Luo Baiyu and Bai Liguang, and he was even weaker than Ding Qijin of the Misty Sword sect. However, his position was much higher than those three. Just the identity of being the father-in-law of the head chief of the Qin clan was enough to raise Mu Rongqianji's position infinitely. Not to mention, Mu Rongqianji's strength was inferior because he was young and had just entered the Supreme Tao stage. However, with his foundation and the care of his future son-in-law, it would not be a myth for his future achievements to surpass Bai Liguang and the others. Junior brother Mu Rong, you should also say a few words, ha. Bai Liguang more or less tried to flatter him. Mu Rongqianji revealed an indifferent smile. Everyone here is a veteran elite warrior of the Supreme Tao stage. Compared to everyone, I am still a junior. Since everyone has already spoken thoroughly, I have nothing more to say. The Qin clan has a big breadth of mind and great ambition to strengthen the image of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. As their assistant, we only need to fulfill our responsibilities and do our job well. This will be the best reward to the Qin clan. What do you say? Yes, yes, junior brother Qianji's words hit the nail on the head. Bai Liguang chuckled. At this moment, Qin Wushuang opened his mouth. Chiefs of all the clans, we are all family. I will not speak any courteous words. The Heavenly Emperor Mountain has gone through a calamity, and many things are waiting to be done. Perhaps the outside world has many doubts about whether the Qin clan can seize the Heavenly Emperor's seat. However, your performance has already caused them to increase their attention to the Qin clan. In the past, no one thought highly of the Qin clan. Now, haha, no matter what, the Qin clan is getting some attention, right? Bai Liguang said with righteous indignation. That's because those people are short-sighted, humph. The four of us are supported by the Qin clan and we all won. Could this not explain the problem? Yes, this is the irresistible trend. If you don't understand, then there is something wrong with your head. Luo Baiyu agreed. Qin Wushuang said with an indifferent smile, the outer challenge and the Heavenly Emperor competition are two different matters. Everyone, before the challenge, I promised that if you can succeed, each of you will have a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon as a reward. Now I will not go back on my words, I will fulfill it on the spot. When the 4 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapons were presented before everyone, instantly it made their eyes light up. After each of them got their weapons, they were unable to put them down and appeared to be unable to contain their joy. It was not their fault. After all, these sects were not immemorial sections. Their foundation was far less profound than the 3 major sections. A 2nd Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon was already the best treasure they could take out. Now, with a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon in hand, wouldn't it feel like a dream? Previously, for the equipment I loaned to you, each of you have a Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon. I can lend it to you for 1,000 years. Depending on your performance in the future, I will consider whether to renew it. In short, if you perform well enough, you can continue to borrow this 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon indefinitely. When Qin Wushuang spoke up to this point, he did not continue. Everyone here were smart people. For reverse reasoning, there was no need for him to elaborate. Yes, yes, head chief, we must work hard to perform. Yes, we will do whatever you say in the future. Qin Wushuang waved his hand. Let's stop here for today. After everyone had dispersed, Mu Rong Qianji also walked outside. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, Lord Mu Rong, please stay. Father, Brother Wushuang still has something to say to you. After everyone else had dispersed, Qin Wushuang said, Lord Mu Rong, under the situation just now, it's not appropriate to make any extra promises to the floating snow house. I don't plan to give the 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon to the floating snow house. I have prepared a 6th Calamity Genuine Supreme Tao weapon for you. However, it's not appropriate to announce it to the public for now. Mu Rong Qianji was greatly shocked. A 6th Calamity Genuine Supreme Tao weapon. Murong Su was very calm. He said with a smile, Father, Brother Wushuang has already thought about it. He is afraid that the 6th Calamity Genuine Supreme Tao weapon will bring disaster to the floating snow house. Therefore, he doesn't plan to announce it. Mu Rong Qianji naturally understood and nodded continuously. He knew that with his special identity, he would certainly receive extra care. However, he did not expect to receive such a generous gift. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 865. Inside the main tent of the Exian clan, Xian Tianwen, Saber-Beard, and Xian Tianchen were all present. Those 4 defeated sect leaders sat on both sides with their heads hung down in disappointment. Xian Tianwen did not lecture them. Instead, he opened his eyes widely and swept across the entire scene. He said lightly, "What, each of you can't raise your head after losing?" The leaders of the 4 major sects raised their heads unconsciously. Xian Tianwen's imposing manner was too powerful. They did not dare to lower their heads and ignore him. "Your Majesty, this time, we lost with too much grievance." Yen Beifei could not hold back. Especially for the heavenly punishing villa and the sound of thunder sect, in terms of true strength, the floating snow house and the misty sword sect were indeed much inferior to them. However, due to various reasons, they were the ones that were eliminated in the end. It was not because they lacked power, but because of the use of tactics and the vicious moves of their opponent. Xian Tianchen said with a bitter smile, "Two chiefs, I also feel sorry for you. This is truly unexpected. Who knew that the Qin clan had so many trump cards? In their hands, transformation supreme Dao weapons seemed to be ordinary weapons. When did the Qin clan become this extravagant?" Suddenly, Saber-Beard said lightly, "Tianchen, it's impossible for the Qin clan to have so many pieces of equipment. Don't forget that Qin Wushuang is the one that inherited the immemorial formation. In my opinion, he already inherited many pieces of supreme equipment from the immemorial formation. The weapon used by that stinky monkey is at the 5th or 6th calamity of the genuine supreme Dao stage. Besides the totem clan in the Tian Xian land, who else has a 6th calamity genuine supreme Dao weapon?" Xian Tianchen said with grief, "That kid Qin Wushuang is truly lucky. He had taken all the benefit." "Sir Saber-Beard, is that immemorial formation truly that mysterious?" "Humph, that formation is not a bluff. It's rumored that the owner is not from the Tian Xian land. He is a heavenly god that has surpassed the genuine supreme Dao stage." Heavenly god. These 2 deafening words caused everyone to be shocked as they revealed a fanatical look from their eyes. To the Tian Xian land, the heavenly god was a paramount and unreachable existence. One could only achieve the Tao of the heavenly god by dashing to the Galaxia. However, in the recent tens and thousands of years, was there an existence that dashed to the Galaxia? Not a single one. Even if the totem clan practiced to the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage, they still couldn't pass through the 9 tribulations. Soaring to the Milky Way was just an illusion. As soon as Xian Tianwen thought about how Qin Wushuang had inherited that formation, a burst of anger scuttled from his bones. If that Qin Wushuang was allowed to grow, in the future, not only would the Xian clan not have a place to stand at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, they would not be able to gain a foothold in the entire Xian Yuan Mound, or even the Tian Xian land. Fellow Taoist Saber-Beard, we must win this Heavenly Emperor battle. We can no longer afford to lose. Xian Tianwen looked at Saber-Beard directly. Saber-Beard nodded solemnly. Taoist Tianwen, I asked you to think of a way to get the participant list of the Qin clan. Did you get it? Xian Tianwen said with a bitter smile. For sure, this list of participants will be kept secret. It was impossible for the Xian Yuan family to reveal it. This was a crime punishable by death. Xian Yuan Ba didn't dare to reveal it either. Although I am the Celestial Emperor, there is nothing special in front of the Xian Yuan clan. If we can get the list of participants, it will be easier to handle. Now, I don't know how the Qin clan will play their cards. In the end, there is still some suspense in this battle, Saber-Beard said with a low voice. After experiencing the power of Qin Wushuang again and again, Saber-Beard did not dare to boast. Your Majesty, Sir Saber-Beard, we all know how many people the Qin clan has. Qin Wushuang's divine beasts have already represented other powerhouses. They will not come out to fight again. I think we have a great chance of winning. For the Qin clan, even if Qin Shaotian can fight, it might not be useful. Xin Tianchen said. Speculating according to the usual rules, the trump card of the Qin clan is Qin Wushuang, Qin Xiaotian, Qin Yunran, and Qin Chongyang. For Qin Yunran and Qin Chongyang, regardless of who goes out to fight, when they meet Tianchen with the twin sealed beast souls, they can at least fight to a draw. Even if Qin Yunran goes out to fight with the sixth calamity genuine supreme Tao weapon, it will not be enough to defeat Tianchen and the twin sealed beast souls. Saber Beard analyzed. After a moment of silence, Xin Tianwen nodded. The genuine supreme Tao sixth calamity weapon will at most double his strength. For the twin sealed beast souls plus Tianchen, it will be 3 against 1. For this battle, it would be impossible for Tianchen to not even get a draw. For the second round, will they send Qin Xiaotian or Qin Wushuang? Their strength is almost equal, it's possible for them to go first. Saberbeard said, "Didn't you say Qin Xiaotian is severely injured and cannot fight?" Xin Tianwen said with a bitter smile, "That's the case according to the usual rules. However, for that kid Qin Wushuang, if he gets a divine medicine that defies the natural order, it's not impossible for him to appear lively and vigorous. I see the Qin clan is confident, most likely Qin Xiaotian can fight." The other people nodded in deep agreement. "Yes, Your Majesty, the Qin clan is extremely cunning, we must guard against them. Each time we have suffered from underestimating them. This time, we would rather overestimate them than underestimate them. Saberbeard, how much assurance do you have to defeat that Qin Xiaotian?" Suddenly, Xin Tianwen asked. Saberbeard revealed an indifferent smile. Qin Xiaotian is only at the second calamity of the transformation supreme Tao stage. After being injured for so long, certainly he did not increase his strength. Now, to win against him, I definitely have more than 90% assurance. This trip to the Heavenly Fire southern border, I acquired a few divine skills that are incredibly powerful. By that time, I will kill Qin Xiaotian in one breath and avenge your clan. Xin Tianwen nodded fiercely. All right, if I meet Qin Xiaotian, certainly he is not my opponent now. On the other hand, that Qin Wushuang. Yes, this Qin Wushuang is rather worrisome. However, even if he had fortuitous opportunities, we also had fortuitous opportunities at the southern border. In the end, he is not as powerful as us. Daoist Tianwen, you must not have a shadow in your heart. Xin Tianwen said with a cold sneer, "Shadow in my heart? That time he was lucky and I was careless. Now, how could I suffer that loss again? Isn't it just a puppet clone? If I am on guard, I will not be afraid of him. Yes, if Tianchen can win that round, we will be absolutely safe. If Tianchen can draw, we will also have 80% assurance. Even if Tianchen cannot win, you and I can control the situation. Brother Tianwen, remember, regardless of who you or I encounter Qin Wushuang, you must provoke him into a life and death battle. If this person does not die, even if we win this time, we will certainly suffer a great loss in the future." It was apparent that Saberbeard also restrained his fear of Qin Wushuang. Even though he had the confidence to win against him, he restrained his fear of Qin Wushuang's potential. Alright, it's the best opportunity to kill him on the Xian Yuan stage. Xin Tianwen revealed a malevolent smile and raised his head to sweep across the entire scene. He said with an indifferent tone, "Everyone, no need to lament. Since the Xin clan has continued the Heavenly Emperor position, we will fight for benefits for everyone. It's not important whether you are at the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates or not. What's important is whether the Xin clan is on the Heavenly Emperor position. If the Xin clan is on the Heavenly Emperor position, you will also have a chance to open the God discarding door." Xin Tianchen also advised, "Yes, the most important thing now is for everyone to unite. This time, we did not anticipate the enemy enough. When the Heavenly Emperor position is confirmed, we will kill Qin Wushuang and seize his equipment and treasures. By that time, the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain will naturally fall into the hands of the Exian clan. When the God-discarding door opens, there will be great fortuitous opportunities. This way, everyone will only wait for 500 years. In the next 500 years, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant will open and everyone can challenge again. You will climb back up from where you fell. Yen Beifei and Lei Ming exchanged a glance and felt that most likely this was the only choice at the moment. Now, even if they were to complain about the Exian clan inwardly, it would be inappropriate for them to voice it out. Now, they would only have hope by hugging the Exian clan's thigh. Your Majesty, then we will wish the Exian clan to seize the Heavenly Emperor position for the third time. We will conceal our strength and bide our time for 500 years, waiting for your guidance. Exian Tianwen revealed a satisfied smile and said, "That's how it should be. Don't be discouraged. With the Exian clan on the throne, we will not neglect you old officials." "Thank you, Your Majesty." At this moment, they could only flatter the Exian clan and follow behind them. They had no other choice. Additionally, with the double insurance of the Heavenly Emperor and Saberbeard, they were confident that the Exian clan could seize the Heavenly Emperor position. After a short 3 days of rest, the second part of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant finally opened its curtains again. Finally, the three powerhouses unveiled their mysterious veil and no longer concealed themselves. They revealed their fangs and prepared for this final fight. This was the competition for the Heavenly Emperor position, the competition for the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, and the competition for future benefits. Even the Qin and Yun clans that were usually on good terms with each other put away their courtesy. When Xian Yuanba looked at the situation of the three powerhouses, he was extremely satisfied. He said with a smile, "Everyone, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant that happens once every 500 years has finally welcomed its peak. Who will take the Heavenly Emperor position? Where will the Heavenly Emperor Mountain go in the future? Next, let these three old sects give us the answer." The representatives of the three houses walked up to the Xian Yuan stage from 3 different directions and waved their hands to pay their respects. This could be said as a strategy to rope in popularity and buy people's hearts. At this moment, the question of who was more popular and who was less popular could be seen from the intensity of the cheers. The Exian clan was the current Heavenly Emperor Gate and was the first to go up the stage. Cheers emerged from all directions and thunderous applause sounded. However, one could see that many people were expressionless. They were not satisfied with the rule of the Exian clan as much as the applause and cheers. Usually, the Yun clan kept a low profile. Therefore, the applause they received was not exaggerated. On the contrary, when Qin Wushuang went up the stage, the cheers sounded like a tsunami from all directions. The applause lasted for a long time and continued like rolling spring thunder. People's hearts, this was the people's hearts. Although such high standard treatment was also related to Qin Wushuang's strong rise and his reputation, the reputation of the Qin family over the years still allowed them to earn enough cheers. The Qin clan had won the hearts of the people. Although Xian Yuanba saw this scene, he did not express any opinion. Instead, he said with a smile, "3 chiefs, the same old rules, you must draw lots to decide your battle situation. Are you all ready?" Xian Yuanba raised his eyebrow and looked at these 3. These 3 did not act pretentious as they all nodded and walked towards the bamboo tube for drawing lots. It seemed that for such pageant, it was destined to be dramatic. As if destined by the heavens, the Qin clan would face the Exian clan. All the grudges seemed to be waiting for this stage to play out. The Yun clan had drawn the sparring partner of the Xian Yuan clan. To the Yun clan, it was not a bad draw. However, it was also not a good draw. It was because to acquire the Heavenly Emperor seat, they must win twice in a row. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 866. The instant the drawing of lots appeared, Qin Wushuang and Xian Tianwen raised their heads at the same time. They glared at each other with piercing cold eyes and did not conceal the hatred in their eyes. At the same time, they had a strange thought. It seems that the Xian Yuan clan has done something to this lot, or else how could it be so coincidental each time? Anyways, it's fulfilling my wish. Instantly, the audience beneath the stage boiled with excitement. The Qin clan against the Xian clan. This was simply a predestined showdown. There were too many things to watch. Putting aside the grudges between the Qin and the Xian clan, just in the 4 battles of the challenge, the powerhouses supported by the Qin clan had completely defeated the 4 powerhouses supported by the Xian clan. This would inevitably escalate the flames of war. Would the Qin clan suppress the Xian clan in one spurt of energy, or would the Xian clan defeat the Qin clan and turn the tide? Objectively speaking, although the Qin clan had always been domineering, their weakness was also apparent. It was because in fact, their absolute elite warriors were not stronger than the Xian clan. In fact, they were much weaker. The main reason was that the outside world knew that Qin Wushuang was severely injured. After all, Qin Wushuang was young. It was definitely unknown whether he could resist Xian Tianwen, an elite warrior that had been famous for many years. For the Xian clan, they had Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen, who was known as the #1 existence beneath the Totem clan. Among the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates, he was definitely the #1 elite warrior. With Saberbeard at a similar level, these 2 final elite warriors were enough to guarantee that the Xian clan would be in an invincible position. Therefore, although everyone was astonished by the performance of the Qin clan earlier, at the crucial moment, they still did not think highly of the Qin clan after a calm analysis. Of course, the Qin clan had Qin Wushuang who excelled at creating miracles. Naturally, everyone had expectations and hoped that Qin Wushuang could create some miracles at such a major scene. Xian Yuanba started to announce the list. The list of the Xian clan, 3rd tier, Xian Tianchen. 2nd tier, Guardian Saberbeard. 1st tier, Xian Tianwen. This arrangement was not ambiguous at all. It was completely within everyone's expectations. Saberbeard and Xian Tianwen. These 2 elite warriors were equivalent to double insurance. Xian Yuanba looked at the Qin clan again and continued to speak. The Qin clan's battle list is as follows. The 3rd tier. Xian Yuanba deliberately paused for a moment. Clearly, he was trying to keep them in suspense. He shot a glance at the Qin clan and there was slight astonishment in his eyes. Then, he glanced around the foot of the stage and continued to speak. The 3rd tier, the guardian divine beast of the Qin clan, the 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast. 2nd gear, Qin Xiaotian. 1st gear, Qin Wushuang. 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast? What was that? Those who didn't know what was going on started to ask around and whisper to each other. Xian Tianwen and Saberbeard exchanged a glance and felt a burst of coldness from their backs. It seemed that he had been tricked by the Qin clan again. They were all veterans of the Jianghu. How could they not have heard of the 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast? The 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast of the past was of the same level as the golden cicada of the Karakoram immortal clan of the illusion Heavenly Lake. If he was not sealed by the golden cicada, he would definitely be at the true supreme Tao level. In terms of experience, he would not be less than Xian Tianwen. Xian Tianchen's complexion changed drastically as he sent his voice. Your Majesty, Sir Saberbeard, when that 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast was at the illusion Heavenly Lake, he once escorted Qin Wushuang out of the Ordeal Island. I didn't expect that he was bribed by Qin Wushuang. This 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast was a freelance martial artist and did not belong to any sect. Although he was active at the illusion Heavenly Lake all year round, he was not considered a foreign powerhouse. Therefore, he did not hesitate to help the Qin clan. Xian Tianwen looked at Qin Wushuang with a profound gaze. Yet where was this thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast? He was incredibly familiar with those faces of the Qin clan. He did not even see Qin Shaotian. At this moment, a straightforward long whistle came from beneath the stage. "Ha ha ha, Brother Wushuang, it's my turn, right?" This voice came from thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast. He activated his body and 10,000 long whiskers danced like tentacles. He already flew onto the Xian Yuan stage. When thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast shot a glance at Saberbeard, he was slightly stunned. Then, he laughed. "Saberbeard, are you also getting involved in this muddy water?" Saberbeard said coldly, "Chasing Cloud, when did you get involved with the Qin clan?" Thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast said lazily, "You owe the Exine clan a favor, you must return it." "I owe head chief Qin a favor, of course I must return it." TSK, Saberbeard, after not seeing you for 2,000 years, your strength is ahead of mine. Nice, you are truly exceptional. Clearly, these two divine beasts knew each other. No one would have expected to see them again under such circumstances. Upon hearing his words, Saberbeard gave a cold snort. Inwardly, he was worried. If this thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast had not been sealed for such a long time, his strength would not be less than Saberbeard's. Even in this case, it would be more than enough to deal with Xin Tianqian. Even if he had the twin sealed beast souls, most likely he would not be able to unleash them before thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast. Firstly, clearly this thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast was close to the genuine Supreme Dao stage. Secondly, the tens and thousands of tentacles of thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast were perfect for dealing with a group of elite warriors. Daoist Tianwen, you and I are carrying a heavy burden. Tianqian has no chance of winning against this chasing cloud-chasing beast. Saberbeard said with a heavy tone. Clearly, Xin Tianwen also saw through most of it. Tianqian, go up and try. If it's impossible, don't force yourself. Remember to admit defeat in time to protect yourself, Xin Tianwen instructed. Since two elite warriors of the Xin clan had died, Xin Tianwen's heart was also dripping blood. Now, on this problem, of course he was extremely cautious. If something were to happen to Xin Tianqian, then he would truly become a lone commander. Please invite the third-tier competitor to the Xian Yuan stage. Xian Yuan Ba said loudly. Xin Tianqian could only bite the bullet and walk up. Inwardly, he was already feeling somewhat timid. This thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast was an elite warrior at the quasi-genuine Supreme Dao stage. Even if he could summon the twin-sealed beast souls, what could he do? The difference in strength was too great. It was not something that could be made up with more people. Thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast remembered Qin Wushuang's instructions. As soon as he made a move, he must cause casualties. Before the other party could surrender, he must deliver a fatal blow. Therefore, when Xian Yuan Ba announced the start of the martial arts competition, thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast immediately urged all his tentacles to roll at Xin Tianqian from all directions. When had Xin Tianqian ever witnessed such power? Unconsciously, he flashed his body and plundered backwards rapidly. He would not dare to face it head-on. Thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast let out an evil grin. All of a sudden, those tentacles opened up and formed a giant net that covered the sky. As it opened and closed in the sky, it wrapped the entire Xian Yuan stage. Suddenly, Xin Tianwen's heart sank as he shouted, "Tianqian, admit defeat." Xin Tianqian dodged in the sky. Upon hearing these words, he cried out without hesitation, "I admit defeat." When Xian Yuan Ba heard these words, he shouted, "Stop!" Since one party admitted defeat, if the other party continued to attack, it would be considered a violation of the rules and they would be disqualified. Thousand-feeler cloud-chasing beast stopped embarrassedly and shot a helpless glance at Qin Wushuang. There was some apology in his eyes. Regardless, the opponent was at the third or fourth calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. Clearly, it was impossible to kill him instantly. On the stage, if the other party was on guard, it would be impossible to kill him instantly. Qin Wushuang revealed a light smile. Whether or not to kill this Xian Tianqian was secondary. Since the Xian clan was this cunning, there was no other way. He could not violate the rules to kill Xian Tianqian, right? This way, those people watching the battle beneath the stage could not refrain from being dumbstruck. This was the Heavenly Emperor competition? How could they admit defeat before the battle even started? Could it be that this Xian clan truly did not plan to resist? Suffer a crushing defeat? What's going on? It's not exciting to admit defeat before the battle even started. How to fight? The difference between Xian Tianqian and that Divine Beast Senior is too great. They are not on the same level. He would be seeking death if he kept fighting. That Divine Beast Senior's attack was fatal. Surrendering is the wisest choice. This way, the Xian clan will lose for sure. What do you know? The Xian clan can win or lose this first round. The true highlight is Saber-Beard and His Majesty Xian Tianwen. Qin Xiaotian is severely injured and Qin Wushuang is still young. No matter how you look at it, the Qin clan is at a disadvantage. Therefore, the Xian clan is betting on the last 2 rounds. The words of this person had won the approval of many people. Analyzing the situation, the Xian clan was indeed fighting for the last 2 rounds. In terms of Xian Tianqian, even if the Qin clan did not send a divine beast and sent Qin Yunran, Xian Tianqian would have a low chance of winning. Second round, Qin Xiaotian against Saber-Beard. Xian Yuanba's resounding voice carried an extremely emotional tone. Clearly, he wanted to embellish the atmosphere of the battle. Indeed, there was a burst of cheers beneath the stage. Qin Xiaotian, the former head chief of the Qin clan, was an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage. Saber-Beard was also an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage. To these people beneath the stage, a battle at the genuine Supreme Dao stage was simply a battle of legends. In the past, they had never even heard of it. Now, they could witness it with their own eyes. Saber-Beard let out an evil grin and stepped onto the Xian Yuan stage. As he stood there with an imposing manner, instantly, the color of the sky seemed to have dimmed. Suddenly, an aged laughter emerged from the crowd beneath the stage. Qin Xiaotian also walked out from the crowd beneath the stage and walked up step by step. His stance did not resemble an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage, but a mortal coming to the Xian Yuan stage to make a pilgrimage. Each step was sincere and serious. Saber-Beard frowned slightly, for he did not know what game Qin Xiaotian was playing. When Qin Xiaotian finally walked onto the stage, Saber-Beard let out a cold sneer. Qin Xiaotian, what are you playing at the Xian Yuan stage for? A light smile hung from the corner of Qin Xiaotian's mouth. He sized Saber-Beard up and asked leisurely, Saber-Beard, just how much do you owe Xian Tianwen for you to work so hard for him? Saber-Beard said angrily, you don't need to ask. Enough nonsense. The struggle for the position of Heavenly Emperor is a competition of strength, not glib tongues. Qin Xiaotian chuckled. You are wrong. The reason I'm on stage this time is to chat with you. Saber-Beard could not but help to be stunned. He did not know what Qin Xiaotian was up to. He raised his sword-like eyebrows. Qin Xiaotian, put away your mischievous act. I will not buy it. Come, let me see if you are an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage, or if you are the real deal. Brothers, sorry, today an old classmate of many years came to play with Old Bull. At night, I accompanied him for dinner. It delayed the update time. There is one more chapter, it will be updated in an hour. I will not go back on my words. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 867. Qin Shoutian still said neither hurriedly nor slowly, Saber-beard, I have lived for a few thousand years. Whether I have an undeserved reputation or not, I don't need you to appraise it. Of course, today I am not standing on the Xian Yuan stage to fight with you. When the Xian clan sent a punitive expedition to the Qin clan, I spent a few thousand years of my power. My divine soul controlled the genuine supreme Tao weapon and I have yet to recover from my severe injuries. In terms of today's battle, I will lose for sure if I fight with you. I still have this bit of self-knowledge. Therefore, I do not plan to fight with you for this battle. Qin Shoutian, just what do you mean? Saber-beard was going crazy. Haha, what I mean is very simple. In this battle, you win, the Qin clan will forfeit the second round. Forfeit? The spectators beneath the stage were going crazy. In Xian Tianqian's battle, he surrendered as soon as he made a move. Qin Shoutian was even more exaggerated as he did not even move his hand and forfeited the competition. This was simply nonsense. Everyone was here to watch the competition, not to see such a dramatic change of heart. Two pinnacle battles had failed one after the other. What was going on? Everyone said that Qin Shoutian has severe injuries. It seems the rumors are true. He did not even fight and admitted defeat directly. He does have a good temperament. The head chief of the Qin clan in the past was a man made of iron. How much ambition did he have? Unfortunately, although he still has his ambition, he does not have his prestige. What do you know? He has injuries on his body, how could he fight? Do you think it's a battle at our level? Once a genuine supreme Tao warrior makes a move, it's a life and death battle. To fight with an elite warrior at the same level without being in the best condition, it's courting death. Since you are injured, why come up? Are you wasting your spot? Don't be unconvinced when I say you don't know. Clearly, Qin Shoutian went up the stage to make up the number of people. If Qin Shoutian does not participate, Thousand-Feeler Cloud-Chasing Beast will be in the second tier in terms of strength. Thousand-Feeler Cloud-Chasing Beast will not have the chance to win against Saber-beard. It's better to put him in the third tier and win for sure. This way, forfeiting the second round is one win and one loss. This way, the Qin clan is betting on Qin Wushuang. Isn't that right? It seems the Qin clan is full of confidence in Qin Wushuang. I'm confident, but can I really defeat His Majesty the Celestial Emperor? I really doubt it. Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen's 1,000 years of accumulated prestige was deeply rooted in people's hearts. Although Qin Wushuang had been in the limelight for the past few years, he was still a rising star. He was still too young. A young man in his early 20s was simply a junior in the cultivation world. When confronting an elite warrior like Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen, who was a few thousand years older than them, people could not help but form a fixed mindset. He felt that they were not on the same level at all. The difference was too great. Qin Shoutian ignored the dumbfounded Saber-beard and smiled leisurely. After bowing to Xianyuan Ba with cupped fists, he walked down the stage leisurely like a wild crane, free and easy. This kind of unforeseen event caused all the spectators to be completely stunned. The Battle of the Celestial Emperors, the legendary Battle of the Celestial Emperors that involved life and death, had actually successively surrendered. However, the changes in the first two rounds made the third round even more interesting. The result of one win and one loss indicated that there must be a winner in this third round. It seemed to have been arranged by fate that the strongest warriors of the Qin and Xian clan, the leaders, would be bestowed with more meaning at the peak of this competition. They would start their battle. Saber-beard was panting with anger as he felt he had no place to exert all his strength. He walked down the stage with resentment, yet he felt incredibly depressed. For this battle, Saber-beard had planned to exert all his strength to boost the morale of the Xian clan and sweep away their declining situation. Unexpectedly, it was such a result. Although it appeared they had won one round, it was completely different from defeating the opponent. However, this was completely different from winning by defeating the opponent. It was also different from Xian admitting defeat after starting the battle. From the beginning, Qin Shaotian admitted that he was not fit to fight since his injuries had not healed completely. Giving up the competition openly would not hurt the morale of the Qin clan. Perhaps this was the strategy arranged by the Qin clan. They would take the first round and give up the second round to fight to the death in the third round. Saberbeard walked down angrily and said to Xian Tianwen helplessly, "Daoist Tianwen, it seems the Qin clan is betting on Qin Wushuang to fight the third round with you. Everything depends on you." Xian Tianwen revealed a somewhat malevolent smile. "Just watch me. I will use this chance to kill this little bastard and defeat the Qin clan." Saberbeard gave a light sigh. "You must be careful, watch out for that kid's puppet technique. You must be on guard against his graceful spiritual bow." Xian Tianwen gave a light snort and nodded. He walked towards the Xian Yuan stage in large strides with a majestic gait. When the Heavenly Emperor appeared, it immediately caused a burst of cheers from all directions. Everyone revealed an incredibly excited expression, for they knew that for this battle, they would not fail again. Regardless of the Xian clan or the Qin clan, they could not afford to lose. It was also impossible for them to admit defeat. At this moment, Xian Tianwen revealed his imposing manner as the Heavenly Emperor. On the Xian Yuan stage, his lofty figure and mighty body, combined with his Heavenly Emperor attire, gave people the powerful pressure of a superior figure. For the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang seemed to have no intention to fight with Xian Tianwen for this moment. Slowly and leisurely, he formed his own body. If one were to say that Xian Tianwen was as majestic as the surging sea, then Qin Wushuang was more like a little stream that gurgled slowly and freely. However, would the galloping sea be able to suppress the gurgling stream for sure? On both sides of the Xian Yuan stage, two people already stood on the stage. One had a lofty figure like a towering mountain. The other one had a tall and straight figure like a bamboo. Qin Wushuang's eyelids twitched lightly and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. He said lightly, "Xian Tianwen, I have waited for this day for a dozen years. It seems that the heavens have treated you and me well, they did not let us miss this battle." Xian Tianwen gave a cold snort. "If the heavens want to miss it, I will not let them miss it. You still stinking of your mother's milk, how could you dare to lead the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan? It seems that the Qin clan is getting worse with each generation. It's ridiculous for a little kid to be in charge." Xian Tianwen, I will not bicker with you for not showing respect for your age. Only your Xian clan is tyrannical and tyrannical. You sit on the seat of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, yet you do not think to advance and only know internal strife. Today, I am going to enforce justice for the heavens and kick your Xian clan out of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. It seems that you also hate the Qin clan to the bone. Since all grudges are placed on this battle, why don't we make a bigger bet between you and me? Humph, how do you want to play? Xian Tianwen rolled his eyes and asked with vigilance. In a life-and-death battle, without determining life and death, you are not allowed to step down. Do you dare? Qin Wushuang lowered his voice and asked coldly. Instantly, Xian Tianwen felt apprehensive inwardly as he looked at Qin Wushuang with astonishment. Life-and-death battle? This kid wants to set a life-and-death battle with me? Without any reason, Xian Tianwen felt a trace of uneasiness. This kid is far less powerful than me, yet he wants to set a life-and-death battle with me. Could it be he truly has some tyrannical trump card? After all, Xian Tianwen's injury had left a shadow in his heart. If it were in the past, he would not care about gains and losses. His powerful confidence would not allow him to consider these problems. However, this time, a trace of hesitation had emerged. Even if it was only a moment of hesitation, it was a sign of not having enough confidence. However, he immediately thought, regardless of how monstrous this kid is, could he have the skill to win against me? If he truly has this skill, if he does not kill me now, there will be many opportunities in the future. Why would he deliberately force me to use a life-and-death battle on this Xian Yuan stage? By the way, he must be deliberately provoking me. He wants to make me feel suspicious and upset. He wants to make me unable to unleash my strongest state. That must be it. Xian Tianwen thought quickly and felt that Qin Wushuang was bluffing him. Since it was a bluff, he must not fall for it. Instead, he hit the snake with the stick and said with a cold sneer, "Life and death battle, all right, then it will be a life and death battle. On the Xian Yuan stage, we will not stop until one of us dies. Even if I surrender, you can continue to kill me. No one else can interfere, right? Even if that's the case, would you dare to take it?" Qin Wushuang asked coldly. Xian Tianwen roared with laughter. "I should be the one asking you this. Since you mentioned it, then I will fulfill your wish and send you to the Western Paradise on the Xian Yuan stage." In fact, deep inside Xian Tianwen's heart, he also had this idea. In a life-and-death battle, they would not stop until one of them died. He would use this opportunity to kill Qin Wushuang and seize his treasures and equipment. If he could inherit that ancient formation, then Xian Tianwen would have struck it rich. Indeed, Xian Tianwen had been thinking about this idea for a long time. Besides, he had no other choice. If he did not kill Qin Wushuang this time, in the future, following Qin Wushuang's continuous growth, Xian Tianwen would not have any more chances. Even if the Xian clan seized the Heavenly Emperor seat, most likely they would not be able to eat or sleep peacefully when facing a constantly growing Qin Wushuang. Therefore, to kill Qin Wushuang now was the best opportunity. He could kill him justifiably, and he would not have to bear any infamy. You two, the Qin and Xian clan, are the trusted aides of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. I advise you to calm down. Once you sign the life and death contract, there is no room for regret. For this battle, one of you must die on the stage. This is not a child's play. At this moment, Xian Yuan Ba did not dare to neglect as he analyzed the stakes seriously. Xian Tianwen said with an indifferent smile, "Mr. Ba, since you are going to sign it, you will not regret it. You can also see that the Xian clan and the Qin clan cannot live under the same sky. Regardless of who wins or loses, they will not allow the other party to stay at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. When two tigers fight, one of them must be injured." Xian Yuan Ba gave a light sigh and nodded. Then, he looked at Qin Wushuang. For a life-and-death battle, both parties must agree. If one party did not sign, it would not work. He rather hoped that Qin Wushuang would not agree at this crucial moment. Qin Wushuang revealed a light smile. Although he did not speak heroic words, his expression was strangely persistent. He would not repent for a life-and-death battle. Xian Yuan Ba revealed a bitter smile. "I hope you will not regret it by that time. Come, prepare the life-and-death contract." As soon as the three words life-and-death contract were spoken, instantly the Xian Yuan stage became solemn and respectful. Everyone's breathing became rapid. Everyone knew what this life-and-death contract meant. A life-and-death contract meant life and death. Once signed, there would be no room for regret. In other words, for Xian Tianwen, an ambitious and ruthless elite warrior for thousands of years, and Qin Wushuang, the exceptional genius that only appears once every 10,000 years, one of them would die on the stage after this battle. For such supreme figures, one of them was about to die. Naturally, the shock from the fall of such elite warriors made everyone's heart surge endlessly. Even the people of the Qin clan, who always carried a smile, revealed a grave expression. They knew the weight of a life-and-death contract. On the contrary, Qin Wushuang and Xian Tianwen, the two parties involved, were unexpectedly calm. Both of them signed their names and made a vow. Beneath the stage, Murong Su bit his lips lightly, yet he remained strong. Next to Murong Su, Bao Bao and the other divine beasts could not refrain from scratching their ears and scratching their cheek. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 868. On the Xian Yuan stage, the life and death contract was signed. Boom! Boom! Almost at the same time, two bursts of majestic airflow rose to the sky. When these two bursts of airflow rose from the Xian Yuan stage, the imposing manner generated instantly shook the entire stage. Radiating from the Xian Yuan stage, this wave of vibration spread across a few hundred miles. The powerful spiritual qi fluctuations caused everyone at the scene to breathe rapidly. These two bursts of imposing manner seemed to be the end of the world, as it made people panic. In the sky to the east, Xin Tianwen urged his body and spread open the heavenly emperor wings. His entire body had become 3 or 4 times bigger than usual. When he flapped the heavenly emperor wings, two bursts of strange lights transformed into strange and powerful colors as they rolled in the sky. Like waves of light, they were incredibly dazzling. Heavenly Emperor wings. Once again, the people watching the battle below the stage breathed rapidly. Indescribable admiration was revealed from their eyes. Indeed, the legendary Heavenly Emperor wings lived up to its reputation. As soon as this power was unleashed, it made the sun and moon appear dim. The entire sky changed color. Strange lights flashed from Xin Tianwen's eyes. Inside his pupils, different strange runes had transformed. As they kept changing, they appeared even more strange and indescribable. No wonder he was the honorable Heavenly Emperor. As soon as he made a move, he urged his temperament to the extreme. He was about to welcome the fourth calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Even among the Totem clan, his strength was enough to rank in the top 5. Could Qin Wushuang truly fight against Heavenly Emperor Xin Tianwen? At this moment, even those people who were initially optimistic about Qin Wushuang could not help but lose some of their optimism. At this moment, on the western horizon, a burst of star-like light rose slowly. Initially, it was a burst of glimmering light. When this glimmering light passed through the blue dome of heaven, as if it was burning, it left a trail of beautiful purple across the sky. As if deliberately competing with the Heavenly Emperor, the purple cloud in yang wings fluttered against the wind and did not yield to the Heavenly Emperor wings. As the purple wings flapped, bursts of purple ripples overflowed. It formed bursts of shockwaves and formed a confrontation with the lights of the Heavenly Emperor wings. Boom! When bursts of lights collided, it was extremely dazzling. The entire sky was multicolored as all kinds of strange lights shot in all directions. However, behind this kind of beauty, there was a boundless killing intent. TSK. Rumor has it that Qin Wushuang has a pair of wings on his back. These two were really evenly matched. Kana is indeed a fated duel. The duel between the Heavenly Emperor's wings and the purple cloud yin-yang wings was obviously a highlight for this battle. Everyone's interest was instantly raised to the extreme. Although Qin Wushuang was only at the 7th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, when he activated his aura, behind the purple light, there was a seemingly illusory 5-colored divine light. It allowed his aura to not lose to Xin Tianwen at the 3rd calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. When Xin Tianwen saw Qin Wushuang's imposing manner, he also drew a breath of cold air. Indeed, this little bastard has improved his strength quickly. It seems that although he has not entered the genuine Supreme Tao stage, his divine power is not weaker than mine. If I don't use this chance to kill him today, there will be endless troubles in the future. When he thought here, how could Xin Tianwen hesitate? He flapped his wings and along with the change of speed, he waved the slaughtering sword from his hand. The divine power of the third calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage waved out tens and thousands of sword lights. From east to west, he slashed over. Qin Wushuang let out a roaring laugh. Good. He also held a sword in his hand, the Heavenly Emperor's sword. This Heavenly Emperor's sword was a righteous sword. It did not have any fancy mysteries. However, when it was used, its power was extraordinary. Qin Wushuang grabbed the Heavenly Emperor's sword and also slashed out with it. Like two long dragons bearing their fangs and brandishing their claws, they met each other in a narrow path in the sky. Neither would yield. Boom! The sword energies collided with each other, creating countless ripples that shot out in circles. The entire sky was suppressed by the boundless sword energies. Sword chi shot out in all directions, shooting down countless birds that were flying high up in the sky. In terms of shrewdness, Xin Tianwen was a few thousand years old supreme Tao elite warrior. Regardless of combat experience or the degree of fusion with the genuine supreme Tao weapon, he surpassed Qin Wushuang. However, Qin Wushuang's advantage lay in the fact that the grade of the Heavenly Emperor's sword was much more powerful than the genuine Divine Six weapons. Only a divine weapon that once accompanied a genuine Supreme Tao elite warrior to pass the ninth calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage was qualified to be called a genuine Supreme Tao weapon. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Wushuang was still slightly lacking in terms of the Supreme Tao stage and that the fusion time was not as long as Xin Tianwen, it would be enough to suppress Xin Tianwen with this genuine Supreme Tao ninth calamity weapon. This was not an exaggeration. After all, the ninth calamity divine weapon was something all paramount totem elite warriors yearned for even in their dreams. The weapon of a paramount totem elite warrior did not have the qualifications to pass the ninth calamity. Once he passed the ninth calamity, he would be at the soaring Galaxia stage. Previously, Xin Tianwen had seen Qin Wushuang perform the Heavenly Emperor's sword. He also revealed some astonishment from his eyes as he pondered, "This kid's weapon is truly exceptional. I wonder what grade it is. If my genuine Divine Six weapons had not merged with me for thousands of years, plus my own stage suppressing him, it would not have been able to resist his sword. Indeed, this kid has great luck. He even has such divine weapons. If I can take him down and seize those supreme equipment, the Heavenly Emperor clan will be even more powerful. In the future, even the Totem clan will not be able to suppress my Xin clan." With lofty ambitions, Xin Tianwen gave a long whistle and unleashed the power of the slaughtering sword continuously. He started to fight with Qin Wushuang in the middle of the sky. Qin Wushuang was extremely cooperative as he started to tangle with Xin Tianwen. Qin Shaotian could not refrain from frowning slightly. Inwardly, he thought, "Is Head Chief Wushuang overconfident? It's not reasonable to fight with Xin Tianwen using sword technique. Isn't this falling right into his trap?" Among Xin Tianwen's sword techniques, there was a set called the 9 killing sword technique. The sword technique was unpredictable. When performed, 1 would turn into 9 and 9 would turn into 1. Each move would take one's life. As soon as he performed this 9 killing sword technique, the slaughtering sword immediately transformed into a devil from hell. Carrying bitter murderous intentions, bursts of sword techniques slashed at him like lightning. Like flying birds, dragons, snakes, lightning, and torrential rain, this 9 killing sword technique had endless changes. Different forms of murderous intentions greeted Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang was incredibly calm. He spun the purple cloud in yang wings at a high speed and waved the Heavenly Emperor's sword. In fact, he also performed a set of exquisite sword technique. When he performed this set of sword techniques, even Xian Yuanba was greatly astonished. It was because Qin Wushuang's set of sword techniques could not be called a sword technique. If the 9 killing sword technique had a set of rules, then Qin Wushuang's set of sword techniques had no rules at all. It was messy and disorderly, as if a guy who did not know how to use the sword was playing with sword technique. However, it was brilliant in that although this set of sword techniques did not have any rules, each attack could often break Xian Tianwen's killer moves. No more and no less, it seemed to have been prepared to break Xian Tianwen's murderous move. It was tailor-made. Grand Elder, the head chief's set of sword techniques is so strange. Have you seen it before? Qin Chongyang could not refrain from asking. He still harbored doubts about such fighting style. Qin Shaotian smiled bitterly and said, Chongyang, the head chief, this young man, frankly speaking, has already reached a stage where even I can't understand him. For today's round, even without signing the life and death contract, if Xian Tianwen cannot win against him, he will never have the chance to win against him. Qin Chongyang and Qin Yunran exchanged a glance and felt apprehensive inwardly. The Grand Elder's evaluation made them feel uneasy and did not have much confidence. Grand Elder, can the head chief win against Xian Tianwen? Ji Song asked casually. He was rather straightforward and did not know how to beat around the bush. Qin Shaotian only smiled and did not answer. He turned to ask Thousand Feeler Cloud Chasing Beast, Friend Chasing Cloud, what do you think? Thousand Feeler Cloud Chasing Beast shrugged and said with an ambiguous tone, at least from now on, the odds are 50-50. Neither of them can do anything to the other. However, clearly these two have many trump cards they have not used. We must see how their trump cards clash to see some clues. It was the absolute truth. Now, both parties were still probing each other and had not used their best move. Regardless of one's eyesight, they could not make an accurate prediction. It was because from the current point of view, these two were on par with each other. The only difference was that Xian Tianwen's attacks were rather swift and violent. For now, Qin Wushuang was mostly on the defense. Saber-Beard's side was rather calm. It was because for now, he could not see through anything. Although Xian Tianchen had already asked a few times nervously, Saber-Beard's eyes were fixed on Saber-Beard's face. Only, Saber-Beard's gaze moved from Qin Wushuang's body. Occasionally, a burst of strange lights flashed in his eyes. Then, he shot a glance at Xian Yuanba with an extremely strange expression. No one knew what he was thinking. Xian Tianwen was extremely annoyed. His set of ninth killing sword technique was his proudest work, yet it was restrained by Qin Wushuang's technique that lacked any technique. He could not unleash his endless murderous intentions. Desperation leads to change. Xian Tianwen waved the slaughtering sword and pulled the heavenly oppressed spear back to his hand. At the same time, he shook the pair of wings on his back again. In a burst of light, it transformed into 4 forked arms. Xian Tianwen straightened his neck and a head grew next to his neck. When he straightened his neck to the right, another head popped out. 3 heads and 6 arms. Xian Tianwen let out an eerie laugh. Holding the genuine divine 6 weapons with his 6 arms, he manipulated all of them in his hand. Like a great devil god, he revealed a malevolent expression. Surrounding his body, lights of different colors burst forth. Surrounding the lights, different types of runes emerged and appeared incredibly terrifying. For such an unforeseen event, even Xian Tianwen was somewhat surprised. However, he immediately regained his calm. With a roaring laugh, he threw the Heavenly Emperor's sword into the sky. Next, he threw out the Earth Emperor's spear. With one on the left and one on the right, he scattered them to protect his body. He grabbed with his hand and pulled out a yin and yang battle blade. Yin-yang nature blade. A blade that could break the yin and yang. This yin-yang nature blade was more powerful than the Heavenly Emperor's sword and the Earth Emperor's spear. Qin Wushuang held the blade with his right hand and used his divine soul to control the Heavenly Emperor's sword and the Earth Emperor's spear. He defended the door and started to fight with Xian Tianwen's 3 heads and 6 arms. Despite Xian Tianwen having 3 heads and 6 arms, He could not break Qin Wushuang's door. Qin Wushuang activated the 3 genuine Supreme Tao Ninth Calamity weapons together, and the 5 colored divine lights kept surging from his back. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Xian Tianwen, don't think that you can play any big tricks with 3 heads and 6 arms. Take my blade." As he urged the blade light, it divided the yin and yang. Like the light of the sun and the moon, it swept over after splitting into 2. No wonder this yin-yang nature blade had the name of creation. Currently, Qin Wushuang had mastered the supreme Tao essence of the water and fire attribute. Naturally, this yin-yang nature blade was extremely compatible with him. Today, I went to the building material market to buy the floor and will only return in the afternoon. Therefore, the update is late. However, regardless of how late it is, regardless of how tired I am, even if I fight until late at night, I will not go back on my word. I must get it out no matter what. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 869. Indeed, this yin-yang nature blade was not a bluff. Indeed, the blade momentum was profound and possessed the imposing manner to break yin and yang. On the other side of the blade light, golden lights shone like the scorching sun in the sky. On the other side of the blade light, silver splendor sparkled. The moonlight was like water and appeared extremely cold. The most wonderful part was that this yin-yang nature blade seemed to be extremely compatible with the purple cloud yin-yang wings. Borrowing the imposing manner of the purple cloud yin-yang wings, the power of this blade was 30% stronger than the original. Before this blade swept before Xian Tianwen did not dare to neglect it. He rolled his body in the air and evaded the power of this blade. At the same time, he threw the 8 defense golden light shield above Qin Wushuang's head. Immediately, a giant umbrella-like golden light shield opened up. Like a waterfall, light curtains flew down from all directions and covered the sky above the Xian Yuan stage. Qin Wushuang knew the power of this 8 defense golden light shield. When he saw Xian Tianwen bring out this 8 defense golden light shield, he stayed alert. He threw out the yin-yang nature blade and used his strongest divine power to blast out a burst of meteoric light. Immediately, the yin-yang nature blade transformed into a ball of yin and yang divine light to shoot at the 8 defense golden light shield. Boom! Immediately, the giant light shield dispersed when the yin-yang nature blade collided with it. As if the ball of light exploded, the light overflowed in all directions and illuminated the entire blue dome of heaven. Before he could unleash the power of the 8 defense golden light screen, Qin Wushuang had torn it apart with the blade light of the yin-yang nature blade. This time, the power of a 9th calamity genuine supreme Tao weapon was finally revealed. Xian Tianwen was shocked. He rarely used the 8 defense golden light shield. Once he did, it was almost invincible. Even if there were elite warriors that could resist the 8 defense golden light shield, they would rely on defensive equipment to resist the binding of that meteoric light. They would not be controlled by the power whirlpool of the 8 defense golden light shield. Ever since Xian Tianwen stepped onto the path of martial arts, it was his first time encountering a situation where his attack was broken directly. Inwardly, he could not refrain from feeling apprehensive as he swore angrily, "Monster!" Without thinking, he pulled the god-killing bow. Following this burst of meteoric light, countless arrows shot towards Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang laughed heartily. When the flowing light of the yin-yang nature saber reached its limit, the flowing light suddenly trembled and fell down like a curtain. A light curtain like a black hole immediately enveloped Qin Wushuang's body. When the arrows collided with the surface of the light barrier, it was as if they had entered an infinitely high-temperature pill furnace and were immediately refined into dregs. Xian Tianwen was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Wasn't this kid's defense power somewhat monstrous? The god-slaying bow and the 8 defenses golden light screen had always been a perfect match. The 8 defenses golden light screen enveloped his opponent, and the god-slaying bow shot him to death. The god-slaying bow was extremely sinister. Once it hit its target, it would be like a maggot on a rotten bone. It would bite at the divine soul and destroy both the divine soul and the physical body. Its power was extremely shocking. However, the 8 defenses golden light screen was unable to lock down Qin Wushuang on the first try. Naturally, the power of the God-Slayer bow was greatly reduced. Between the attack and defense of Qin Wushuang's yin-yang nature saber, the power had immediately suppressed the limelight of the genuine divine 6 weapons. When the audience saw such a peak battle, immediately there was a burst of cheers. They were almost going crazy. This was truly too exciting. Regardless of who was attacking and who was defending, the level of excitement of this battle had far surpassed their imagination. Even Xian Yuanba of the Totem Clan felt anxious when he saw a battle at this level. Inwardly, he pondered how much chance he would have if he were to encounter such an opponent. One must say that even for Xian Yuanba, he did not have the confidence to win when encountering these 2 opponents. He might even lose. Too powerful. Being the Heavenly Emperor, Xian Tianwen had always been domineering. However, before the Xian Yuan clan, he was still well-behaved. Like a grandson, he would not dare to act presumptuously. However, 4 powerhouses outside the Totem Clan, Xian Tianwen had never submitted to anyone. But today, he finally met a bone that he couldn't chew off. This young man of the Qin clan was able to make Xian Tianwen, who had been famous for a few thousand years, suffer such humiliation. This Qin Wushuang seemed to be only a little over 30 years old. In the martial arts world, such age was the age when one had just stepped onto the road. Many martial artists were still enjoying being a hedonistic son. Qin Wushuang was already on par with Xian Tianwen, the Heavenly Emperor. What else could they say? There was only one word: monstrous. Truly monstrous. Even the Totem Clan was impressed, not to mention others. Of course, everyone knew that Qin Wushuang was able to deal with Xian Tianwen's attack with such ease because of the weapon he used. Almost everyone knew about the reputation of the genuine Divine 6 weapons. The genuine Divine 6 weapons were almost Xian Tianwen's signature and the strongest trump card of the Xian clan in the past. To put it bluntly, if Xian Tianwen did not have the genuine Divine 6 weapons, initially it would have been impossible for him to seize the Heavenly Emperor seat from the Qin clan. The genuine Divine 6 weapons were Xian Tianwen's trump card. Now, this trump card was suppressed by Qin Wushuang, the young disciple of the Qin clan. Regardless, on the level of weapons, Xian Tianwen's previous advantage was completely gone. On the contrary, the aspect of weapons had become Xian Tianwen's disadvantage. This was something no one could have imagined before. Who would have guessed that Xian Tianwen would fall behind in terms of weapons during a showdown at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain? It's widely rumored that Qin Wushuang, the head chief of the Qin clan, inherited the immemorial formation. It seems it's true. It seems that this matter is absolutely true. How do you know? Don't you know? The weapon used by Qin Wushuang has clearly suppressed the genuine Divine 6 weapons. When did the Qin clan have such powerful weapons? Wasn't it obtained from the ancient array? If the Qin clan had such powerful weapons, they would not have lost to the Xian clan 1,000 years ago. That's right. When the Qin clan lost in the past, they lost to the genuine Divine 6 weapons. Or else, the foundation of the Xian clan would be inferior to the Qin and Yun clan in other aspects. Various guesses were heard from beneath the stage. However, to the current situation, it would not help at all. Although Xian Tianwen could not win after a long battle, he was able to keep his composure. He thought inwardly, this Qin Wushuang has such a heaven-defying weapon. To break his defense, I am afraid it would be difficult to gain the upper hand with weapons. It seems I must summon the sealed puppets. Even if the sealed puppets are sacrificed, as long as they entangle that Qin Wushuang for an instant, I can use this opportunity to shoot him to death. Thinking here, Xian Tianwen grabbed with one of his arms and opened his palm. He threw it into the air and a lightning-like light shot out from the seal. Two majestic, ferocious beasts jumped out from the smoke. They spat out clouds and fog. Their appearance was astonishing and terrifying. Ninth Calamity. It was the Ninth Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Initially, Saber-Beard got this sealed beast soul. It was different than the twin sealed beast soul used by Xian Tianchen. It was a beast soul at the Ninth Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao stage. In fact, Xian Tianwen felt rather regretful for making a mistake in predicting the enemy. Initially, he had underestimated the Qin clan's candidate and did not take into account the accident of thousand feeler cloud chasing beasts. He should have given this more powerful sealed beast soul to Xian Tianchen. This way, he would at least have the power to fight with thousand feeler cloud chasing beasts. He might even have the hope to win. The combined power of these two twin ferocious beasts would definitely surpass the sum of 1 plus 1. Perhaps they could unleash 4 or 5 times the power. With such power, if they work together with Xian Tianchen, they might have the power to fight with thousand feeler cloud chasing beasts. However, it was too late to say anything now. Xian Tianwen decided that even if he had to sacrifice these two beast souls, he must knock down Qin Wushuang. The benefits he would gain from knocking down Qin Wushuang would definitely surpass the value of these two twin beast souls. Thinking here, Xian Tianwen chanted the spell and started to brainwash these two beast souls. At the Heavenly Fire southern border, Xian Tianwen learned 2 unique skills of the beast clans. One of them was this beast controlling technique. He could control the sealed beast souls to fight at will. He could make these beast souls live and die at will. In fact, this beast controlling technique was a puppet technique in disguise. Only its puppets were beast soul puppet. They were different than Qin Wushuang's golem puppets. However, in essence they were the same thing. The two ferocious beasts gave a mad roar. From left and right they attacked Qin Wushuang fiercely. Xian Tianwen let out an evil grin and freed his 2 palms to shoot out 2 bursts of divine lights with strange beast talisman scripts. When it shot onto the bodies of the 2 ferocious beasts, instantly, lights erupted from the entire body of the 2 beasts. A burst of extremely ancient, desolate beast presence filled the entire Xian Yuan stage. Roar! Roar! With 2 world-shaking roars, the 2 ferocious beasts were already baring their fangs and brandishing their claws to kill Qin Wushuang. The speed at which they shattered the sky left behind 2 clear space ripples. It was incredibly terrifying. Qin Wushuang let out a strange laugh. A knowing smile of "you finally used your trump card" spilled out from the corner of his mouth. This smile was like an indestructible golden needle. It pierced Xian Tianwen's originally firm mind ruthlessly. What is this kid laughing at? A trace of doubt flashed across Xian Tianwen's mind. Distracting thoughts, another strand of distracting thoughts. Xian Tianwen was a great elite warrior, a great elite warrior. How could he not know that this distracting thought was a crack in his mind? To put it in a small way, it was only a thought. To put it in a big way, it was most likely a heart devil that would affect his mind. The initially confident Xian Tianwen never had such a shadow in his heart. Yet now, when he was signing the life and death contract, a trace of haze flashed across his mind. This time, it had appeared again. The 2 continuous haze had caused a genuine crack to appear in Xian Tianwen's spiritual perception. It was a genuine heart devil. This heart devil had been planted when he was injured. Unless he defeated Qin Wushuang and killed him, this heart devil would only be extinguished. Or else, it would become an eternal worry. Qin Wushuang's leisurely laughter emerged. Xian Tianwen, is this desolate beast a fortuitous opportunity you acquired at the southern border? Nice, if you don't have any new trump cards, how could you be qualified to be my opponent? This time, I will let you witness my skills. Qin Wushuang's laughter was like thunder as it rolled across the sky continuously. Qin Wushuang's figure kept swaying. Under the contrast of the 5-colored divine lights, he kept splitting into puppets with the same appearance as Qin Wushuang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. There were a total of 9. Not one of these 9 puppets was an illusion. They were all genuine Supreme Tao puppets with flesh and blood. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 870. With 9 golem puppets and 1 original body, a total of 10 of them scattered into a half-fan shape in the sky. Like a graceful rainbow, they set off the 5-colored divine lights and appeared insufferably majestic. Ha, Xian Tianwen, you can only control 2 desolate beasts. Do you have any more? Qin Wushuang used a teasing tone and said jokingly. Xian Tianwen fixed his gaze and could not help but laugh. Qin Wushuang, don't be so arrogant. For these puppets you cannot win with numbers. Your numbers are great, but it's not important. It's fine to confuse people's eyes and ears. If you want to rely on the sea of people, your useless puppets are far from enough. Xian Tianwen's eyes were vicious. With one look, he knew that Qin Wushuang's puppets were not top-notch in terms of individual strength. They would definitely not surpass the 3rd calamity of the transformation's Supreme Tao stage. Such Supreme Tao puppets could not be said to be weak. However, in a battle between genuine Supreme Tao elite warriors, clearly they were not qualified. At least, Xian Tianwen did not put them in his eyes. He felt that with his strength, he could destroy all these puppets in 5 moves. A trace of ridicule was revealed from the corner of Qin Wushuang's mouth. Of course, he would not tell the other party the use of his puppet. He laughed inwardly and said, Xian Tianwen, when you taste the power of the 9 palace return 1 sword formation, you will know how it feels. The 9 golem puppets completely obeyed the control of Qin Wushuang's divine soul. The 9 long swords danced in a semicircular arc. The sword lights had already congealed into a ball and shot at Xian Tianwen with a loud rumble. Suddenly, the 9 figures dispersed and formed a circle. When the formation was activated, wind and thunder burst forth. Like sword fairies, the figures of the 9 golem puppets cooperated with each other skillfully. 9 palace return 1 sword formation. It absorbed the essence of the 9 palace formation. It was a technique that used the changes of body movements to create dislocation attack. It also overlapped the individual strength to form different combinations of powerful attack. Its characteristics lay in the formation of the 9 palace, the changes of body movements, and the sense of position. The condensed attack of unity was able to condense the power of 9 people together. Through the transformation of the array, it could form a powerful attack that far exceeded the power of 9 people. To put it bluntly, Qin Wushuang had spent a lot of time and effort to practice this spirit array to this point. Although he couldn't increase its power by 81 times, he could still increase its power by 66 to 36 times. The most crucial thing was that the array was a combination of attack and defense. Once the array was successfully set up, the entire array would be in a state of chaos. If one couldn't find the core of the array, one wouldn't be able to break the array at all. Other than parrying, there was no other way. Even if one was a real Supreme Tao expert, in front of the array that was 36 times stronger, how much could one do? The Supreme Tao realm of a genuine Supreme Tao elite warrior. His Supreme Tao realm might be dozens of times higher than a coagulate Supreme Tao warrior. However, there were 9 people in this formation to begin with. Each person could unleash 36 times the power. If it was increased by 9 times, it would be more than 300 times the power. If one wanted to destroy this array with brute force, it would be impossible unless one was a paramount elite warrior of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. If these Supreme Tao puppets could all advance to the 6th calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage, most likely even those at the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage could not destroy it with brute force. Once all genuine Supreme Tao elite warriors set up the array, they could instantly kill all elite warriors of the Tianxian land. No one below the heavenly Supreme Tao stage would be a match for them. Unfortunately, this array had not been unleashed to the highest stage of 99 to 81 times. After all, the person who set up the array did not reach that monstrous stage. Only it was enough to entangle Xian Tianwen. When the golem puppets entangled Xian Tianwen, Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. He put away the Heavenly Emperor's sword and the Earth Emperor's spear and did not fight with those 2 vicious beasts. He grabbed with both hands and pulled out the graceful spiritual bow. When this divine bow that had been suppressed for more than a dozen years appeared again, it carried a burst of powerful anger and resentment. It was as if it felt incredibly oppressed by Qin Wushuang hiding it for such a long time and urgently needed to erupt. The graceful spiritual bow stretched out and shone with golden lights. When Qin Wushuang touched the graceful spiritual bow, a burst of incomparably familiar feeling immediately emerged from his heart. As if they were lovers from the past, the familiar feeling made Qin Wushuang feel incredibly comfortable. Although Qin Wushuang was no longer the same as before, the potential of the graceful spiritual bow kept being dug out. Now, the graceful spiritual bow was no longer the same as when it had just made its debut. When Saberbeard saw this scene from beneath the stage, his heart tightened. Instantly, his gaze became complicated as he drew a breath of cold air. Xian Tianxian could not judge the current situation. Therefore, he always used Saberbeard's expression as a reference. The change in Saberbeard's expression was his barometer. When he saw Saberbeard frowning with a complicated gaze, Xian Tianxian could not help but tremble. "Sir Saberbeard, how is it?" For a moment, Saberbeard was speechless. His expression was incredibly solemn, as if he was thinking about something. Under Xian Tianxian's repeated questioning, Saberbeard gave a long sigh. "The puppet beast souls are going to suffer. This Qin Wushuang is truly monstrous, truly monstrous." He controlled 9 Supreme Tao puppets at once. Additionally, he could control such a powerful sword formation to trap Xian Tianwen. For your information, the highest level of individual strength of these puppets was not above the 3rd calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage. With such shrimp soldiers and crab generals, they were able to stall Xian Tianwen, the heavenly emperor of this generation. One could imagine their power. When Qin Xiaotian saw this, he also revealed a joyful smile. "Good, good. Now I finally know where Head Chief Wushuang's confidence comes from. Ha ha ha, good kid, good kid. It seems my Qin clan will finally see the clear sky through the clouds and mist. Grand Elder, this way, Head Chief Wushuang is going to win?" Qin Chongyang could not but help to reveal a trace of expectation on his serious face. "He may not win, but I can guarantee that the head sect leader will not lose." "Won't lose, won't he win? For this life and death contract, without one of them dying, they are not allowed to step down." Ji Song chuckled. Upon hearing the good news from the head chief, these people felt relaxed. His heart, which had been stretched taut, immediately relaxed. "Ha ha, it's true that the life and death contract is like that. However, you must consider whether some people truly wish for Xian Tianwen to die, and are willing for the Xian clan to be annihilated. For our heavenly emperor 8 gates, the Qin clan, Yun clan, and Xian clan, have always stood in a tripartite balance of power. For tens and thousands of years, We always had the chance to annihilate our opponents, but we never succeeded. Why? Why? Ji Song felt baffled. Qin Chongyang nodded slowly. I understand, the totem clan is not willing to break apart the tripartite balance of power structure. If they are to fight to the death, the paramount totem elite warriors will surely come to mediate, right? Qin Xiaotian chuckled. Let's see, perhaps something unexpected will happen this time? You all know that the head chief has always excelled at creating surprises, right? Everyone roared with laughter. Bao Bao also laughed. My boss will certainly annihilate Xin Tianwen, I am certain. Yes, for the paramount totem elite warriors, even if my boss gets angry, he will not give him face. Humph humph. Lone also said with a snort. On the other hand, Morong Su berated lightly, You too, don't talk nonsense. You must not look down on the totem elite warriors, understand? Before Qin Wushuang, Bao Bao and Lone still dared to act presumptuously and joke around. However, before this future sister-in-law, they were yes-men. When they heard the berating, they giggled foolishly, scratched their heads, and stopped speaking nonsense. With the help of the graceful spiritual bow, the shooting sun arrows were already shot out. Those two ferocious beasts were controlled by Xin Tianwen's divine soul. When they saw the shooting sun arrows shooting over with such power, their souls were scared away. One on the left and one on the right, they transformed into two bursts of lights and fled to the sky. The imposing manner of these shooting sun arrows was not something their transformation supreme Tao beast souls could resist. Only by using body movements to evade would they be able to escape. However, once the graceful spiritual bow was activated and the shooting sun arrows were shot out, how could any accident happen? One after another, the shooting sun arrows split into two paths and chased to the two sides of the sky with a loud rumble. Boom! Like a long rainbow piercing the sun, the shooting sun arrows glided across a perfect arc. The golden lights hit the two ferocious beasts with the momentum of a meteor chasing after the moon. Boom! Boom! Accompanied by the demonic power of the graceful spiritual bow, the powerful supreme Tao power produced tremendous destructive power. It could even flatten the entire mountain peak, not to mention beast souls with flesh and blood bodies. In the midst of the explosion, there was a scene of badly mutilated flesh. The two beast cores escaped and flew to the sky in a panic. They were in a hurry to escape. Qin Wushuang grabbed the yin-yang nature blade and urged the purple cloud yin-yang wings to welcome the two beast cores. When he slashed down, a tornado-like blade momentum instantly wrapped around the beast cores. Qin Wushuang already shot out a divine venomous puppet. In terms of beast language, Qin Wushuang's foundation was no less than Xin Tianwen's. He might even be better. In the blink of an eye, he had controlled these two beast cores. Unfortunately, Xin Tianwen's divine soul was inside this beast core. Qin Wushuang's divine venomous technique could not enter. However, since this beast core had already fallen into his control, he was not worried that the divine soul power could not drive it out. The most direct method would be to kill Xin Tianwen. Naturally, his divine soul would be destroyed. When the sealed beast soul was destroyed, Xin Tianwen immediately lost his left and right arms. Qin Wushuang turned around and roared with laughter. Xin Tianwen, you only have these two puppets? Isn't it too little? Xin Tianwen felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow to his chest. It was too unfair. He had acquired these fortuitous opportunities with great difficulty and hoped to unleash his divine power in this pageant. Unexpectedly, he had been killed by the other party so easily. The fortuitous opportunities he was most proud of could not withstand a single blow from Qin Wushuang's equipment. In terms of weapons, he was suppressed. In terms of sword skills, he was suppressed. In terms of puppets, he was still suppressed. In each step, he was suppressed by Qin Wushuang. Was this still like a heavenly emperor fighting against a young kid? Xian Tianwen felt sorrowful. The natural law was unfair, the natural law was unfair. Why did Qin Wushuang take all the benefits? With a mad roar, Xian Tianwen already planned to cut off all means of retreat and fight to his death. His last trump card was the 100-change Celestial Beast Soul technique. If this trump card still could not win against Qin Wushuang, then he would have no other way. Only, under such circumstances, if he had no other way, did it mean he would have to wait for the death sentence? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 871. It was the last trump card of the 100 Transformation Beast technique. Below the stage, Saber-Beard watched the changes on the stage without blinking. He also knew that this was Xian Tianwen's last chance. If this secret beast technique still could not defeat Qin Wushuang, then the Xian clan would not have another chance in the Heavenly Emperor competition. Out. Being out was already the lightest result. Under the background of the life and death contract, the price of being out would be accompanied by Xian Tianwen's death. Honestly, Saber-Beard did not care about Xian Tianwen's life or death. However, what he wanted was important. He had schemed for a few thousand years and waited for the arrival of this grand occasion. If the Xian clan failed, his plan would go bankrupt. Even if he did not go bankrupt, he would not have much room to perform. His plan must be built on the Xian clan seizing the Heavenly Emperor seat. However, in the current situation, could Xian Tianwen win? Saber-Beard was not at all optimistic. If he were to perform the 100 Transformation Celestial Beast technique from the beginning, it would have achieved the effect of a surprise attack. However, now Qin Wushuang's defense was completely useless. The 9 Palace Return 1 Sword formation had trapped Xian Tianwen. Even if he had tens and thousands of divine skills, most likely it would be useless. Although the attack power of this 9 Palace Return 1 Sword formation was monstrous, its defense power was also astonishing. Xian Tianwen was rather exceptional. While the 100 Transformation Beast technique changed, he had already transformed into 3 or 4 different forms. They were either mighty, nimble, gigantic, or subtle. But to the golem puppets, these changes were nothing more than fleeting clouds. They only dealt with the changes by remaining unchanged. They sorted out the sword formation in an orderly manner. They were not in a hurry, nor were they in a rush, nor were they conservative. Before such strict formation that did not lack changes, Xian Tianwen was on the verge of crying. He realized that like a clown, he was bumping around above the Xian Yuan stage. He could not even touch Qin Wushuang's shadow. For such battle, was there a need to consider the result? A surge of despair surged from the bottom of Xian Tianwen's heart. Clearly, it was useless to lament the unfairness of the heavens. Xian Tianwen knew that for this battle, he had no chance of winning. The most fatal part was that with the life and death contract hanging high, even if he wanted to admit defeat, he would not have the chance. A life and death pact had to be decided between life and death. Unless you ran away shamelessly, you might be able to escape for a while. But if you ran away during the life and death duel at the Xian Yuan stage, his reputation would be ruined, and the foundation of the Xian family would come to an end. It was also a big question whether the Xian Yuan family would hunt him down. Qin Wushuang, what kind of skill are you hiding? The anger that came from the bottom of Xian Tianwen's heart exploded as he roared madly. Now, he had to lure Qin Wushuang out. Otherwise, if he were to hide behind the puppets, he would not be able to break the formation, and he would not stand a chance at victory. Only, now Qin Wushuang was as steady as Mount Tai. How could he play the so-called elite warrior demeanor of a head-on confrontation with Xian Tianwen? He laughed leisurely. Xian Tianwen, I gave you a chance to fight head-on a moment ago. Since you are not skilled enough, who can you blame? Now with my puppet activating it, you cannot even break a mere sword formation. What qualifications do you have to challenge me? Today, this Xian Yuan stage will be the place of your death. In the beginning, Qin Wushuang's tone was somewhat mocking. In the end, it was incredibly serious and did not carry a trace of human emotion. It was as if he was the judge of life and death. Xian Tianwen kept roaring angrily and said with a cold sneer, "You want to kill me? Do you have the skill?" When Xian Tianwen's brute force burst out, he knew that he had no hope of winning today. However, he still would not believe that this Qin Wushuang could kill him. What about the graceful spiritual bow? Since he had suffered once, Xian Tianwen would not suffer a second time. With a flash, he transformed into a giant centipede with 100 feet. Waving his tentacles, his entire body congealed into a ball and rolled into a whirlpool shape. He rolled in the sky and tried to dash past these 9 great puppets to attack Qin Wushuang directly. Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. Xian Tianwen, even if you turn into a maggot, don't think about dashing over. The divine skill of the Beast Clan is indeed exceptional. However, it's a waste to use it on you. Xian Tianwen was mad with anger. Just when he was charging at the formation with all his power, Qin Wushuang pulled the graceful spiritual bow again and shouted, "Xian Tianwen, let me send you off." One after another, 9 shooting sun arrows formed into the imposing manner of the 9 shooting sun arrows. It shot Qin Wushuang with all his power. When the imposing manner of the 9 shooting sun arrows formed a whirlpool like a black hole in the middle, it went to greet Xian Tianwen. Knowing the power, Xian Tianwen transformed again and transformed into a burst of green smoke. He transformed into a white crane and went with the wind at a fast speed like lightning. He shuttled between the clouds and disappeared. Escape. Xian Tianwen was using the escape tactic. This time, the people watching the battle beneath the stage were also stunned. Even Qin Wushuang did not expect that Xian Tianwen would escape. 10,000 miles high in the sky, after all, there was a limit to the momentum of the shooting sun arrows. Xian Tianwen had escaped from the attack circle in the first move. Qin Wushuang groaned at his bad luck. He flapped the purple cloud in yang wings and the 9 golem puppets followed behind him. They rode their swords and shot into the sky. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Xian Tianwen, a moment ago who was the one that asked me to come out for a hand-to-hand fight? Now that you have escaped, do you think you can avoid death? Let me tell you, the life and death contract is your death warrant. Even at the ends of the earth, there is no place for you to hide. You can only wait to be executed, that will be your eternal destination." With such a domineering tone, at this moment, no one dared to doubt whether Qin Wushuang possessed such power or not. In this major battle, each of them had different backgrounds and revealed their divine skills. Clearly, Xian Tianwen was one step behind and lost the entire game. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang had the upper hand as he controlled the upper hand tightly. Now, Xian Tianwen could only escape without a trace. This was also something no one dared to imagine before the battle. Perhaps only Qin Wushuang knew about this result. Regardless of how optimistic the person was, they would not have thought that Qin Wushuang could use a form of overwhelming momentum to beat Xian Tianwen to turn around and run. However, could Xian Tianwen escape from the life and death contract? In the sky above the Xian Yuan stage, Qin Wushuang chased relentlessly. The observant-fingered jade plate locked onto Xian Tianwen's figure tightly. The speed of the purple cloud in yang wings was not slower than the heavenly emperor wings. At this moment, Xian Tianwen could not care about his dignity as he ran for his life. He knew that if he was surrounded by that sword formation again, Qin Wushuang would never give him the chance to escape. Qin Wushuang chased for a while. When he saw he could not shorten the distance, he let out a long laugh. Xian Tianwen, today, I will let you see what divine power is. After he finished speaking, a burst of golden light surged from Qin Wushuang's body. Layers of dragon scales kept emerging from below his shoulder. The bones of his entire body were also undergoing a violent change. What is that? Dragon. He has dragon scales on his body. Isn't this Qin Wushuang a disciple of the Qin clan? How could he have dragon scales? Indeed, they were dragon scales, extremely dazzling dragon scales. Qin Wushuang's entire body was filled with the presence of the immemorial dragon clan. He had completely transformed into a dragon and appeared awe-inspiring. As he moved, he danced with the wind and clouds. His speed was even faster than lightning. Instantly, Simo and Nan, the two dragon babies, cheered with joy and shouted long live their father. This kind of bloodline was the same as theirs, the dragon breath. Naturally, the extremely pure immemorial dragon bloodline made them endlessly excited. Bao Bao also cried out, "Boss, so powerful! This is also the immemorial bloodline. Haha, no wonder Boss is so monstrous. He has the bloodline of the immemorial dragon clan and is even more powerful than me, the immemorial spiritual monkey." On the other hand, Murong Su knew the sequence of events. He knew that Qin Wushuang had acquired this fortuitous opportunity from the coiling Dragon Palace Hall beneath the black Dead Sea of the floating snow house. Inwardly, he was also incredibly proud and happy for his sweetheart's performance. On the stage of the Xian Yuan stage, under the eyes of tens of thousands of people, he had beaten Xian Tianwen to flee in all directions. From now on, this battle would establish Qin Wushuang's position as an elite warrior. At least, beneath the totem clan, there would not be any dispute. Since Xian Tianwen was no match for him, for the others, even the Yun clan, what could they use to compete? As Qin Wushuang, who had transformed into a dragon, kept closing the distance, Xian Tianwen knew that if he did not flee far away, most likely he would meet a calamity here. Without caring about his face, he flew towards the distance. As the divine light surged, he transformed into a long rainbow at an extremely fast speed. Qin Wushuang roared with laughter and grabbed the yin-yang nature blade again. He said with a long voice, "Xian Tianwen, I already said that you cannot escape from a life and death contract. This blade will break your yin and yang." Together with the blade, Qin Wushuang submerged into the sky. With an imposing manner that could support the heavens and earth, he poured all his power into his arms and slashed out this exceptional blade move. The fate of yin and yang would depend on this blade move. Xian Tianwen could not escape as he was slashed by this blade light. With a miserable cry, his corporeal body was instantly cut into two pieces. A burst of divine soul dashed out of the corporeal body and left in a hurry. Qin Wushuang was incredibly ruthless, for he would not stop at all. He shouted, "Xian Tianwen, this blade move is to take revenge for the past dozen years of punitive expeditions against the Qin clan." Xian Tianwen roared miserably, "Daoist Saberbeard, save me. Mr. Ba, quickly make this kid stop. The Xian clan will withdraw from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. We will withdraw." Saberbeard's expression was indeterminate. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for him to make a move. For the competition on the Xian Yuan stage, whoever made a move would be courting death. The rules of the Totem clan were not something that could be easily broken. Xian Yuan Ba let out a bitter smile. When signing this life and death contract, you, Xian Tianwen, made a solemn vow and acted insufferably arrogant. Now that you are defeated, you want me to save you. How can I speak? I am not qualified to break this life and death contract, unless the paramount totem elite warrior comes. However, since Xian Tianwen spoke, considering the usual strategy of the Xian Yuan clan, they wanted these three clans to stand in a tripartite balance. If Xian Tianwen died, the the Xian clan would fall, and one of the tripartite balance would be broken. This was something the paramount totem elite warrior would not wish to see. Since he could not speak, he could only act as a mediator. He said with a clear voice, "Head Chief Qin, can you listen to me?" Qin Wushuang responded, "Mr. Ba, before the life and death contract, there is only life and death and no feelings. Whoever stops the life and death contract will break the rules of the Xian Yuan clan for tens and thousands of years." Immediately, Xian Yuan Ba shut his mouth. When this huge accusation was thrown at him, it was not something he could take. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.